If you've ever wanted to slap tariffs on penguins, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Crazy overnight moves. Everything is under pressure here today, down 3+% pretty much across the board. Up, Dow is down 2.9%. Red arrows across the board. We're going to break it down. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for April 3rd, a day after you were liberated from your money. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Hope you are all doing all right. And I hope that you were rested, because last night was an information dump for the ages. And it's definitely affecting the markets here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Allzarts, good morning. Is anyone else feeling liberated? That is going to be the question of the day. Are you happy that you have been liberated, perhaps liberated from your money? Kayla, hello, good morning. Ivan, in every crisis, there is an opportunity. Hope that not many get margin called. Good morning. Good morning, Ivan. I think that's really smart. I think the other theme today, other than being liberated from your money, is going to be don't panic. I don't think panicking is ever the right move, and that certainly holds up today. As far as the margin call comment, you don't trade on margin, they won't come a-calling, it turns out. Paul, good morning. Good to have you back. Jim, back from a golf trip. Boy, you picked a hell of a time to come back from a golf trip. Hope the golf was good, buddy. Good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Couch Potato, good morning. Creation, good morning. Sabin, good morning. Red tariffs, indeed. Pete, good morning. Pete, you have got to be having probably the best day of the year. You were preparing for this. I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to give you a preemptive cash register ring, because I suspect that you are crushing it today. Good morning. Welcome back. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. Yasin, good morning. Hellcat, good morning. Producer, locked in as always. Eli, good morning. Chuck, good morning. Bernhard and Cam, good morning. Parviz, feeling liberated? A little bit. We'll see how it shakes out. It's going to be a rough day here, or at least a rough open. We'll see how the day finishes. Whis, good morning. Ralph, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Hermata, good morning. Tanya, Torloff, good morning. France, Quantum, Arumas, good morning. Big Bees, locked in. Michael, feel like buying cheaper stocks? Well, you're in luck, because everything is cheaper here today. JJ, good morning. Crystal, good morning. Shorted the Spy, I feel liberated. That's going to be our second register ring of the day. A-Shot, good morning. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Artisan Custom Homes, good morning. And Quantum, good morning. All right, folks, let's take a look at the charts. Real quick look at the futures. I can actually go put my charts up right now real fast. Quick look here at the futures. S&P 500 futures down 3.34% at the moment. Dow futures down 2.84%. And NASDAQ here down 3.89% as the Trump tariffs hit the market and everything moving to the downside. Was actually watching some of the overnight markets last night. I normally try to just focus on sports so I can decompress, but yesterday that wasn't really possible. I was watching some of the overnight markets. One of the notable things that I noticed is that the Nikkei gapped down 6%. And then actually went back to almost flat, closed down, I think, like 2.7%. So the opening, at least in Japan, real rough, but it did not break down from there. Will our markets do the same? That is going to be one of the big questions. Ivan saying my audio cuts off. Let me know if anyone else is feeling that. My producer hasn't told me. He's normally on top of that stuff. So that might be, maybe try refreshing the stream. I don't know. Pete, I was SQQQ. All it's doing is lessening the blow from my other losses. So you played it smart. You had a thesis, you hedged it, and it's offsetting some of the losses. To me, Pete, that sounds like a really smart strategy, and it doesn't sound like there's any panic in your strategy. So that sounds pretty good. Abdullah says, let's talk markets, please. Where do you think you are? Of course, we're going to talk markets. 3D, good morning. Brandy, good morning. Edward, good morning. Day trader says audio is great. Okay, so it looks like that was probably just on one end. Producer says the audio is fine. So Ivan, that might just be your connection. Try a refresh and see if that helps at all. Okay, SPY here. I know SPY down, the S&P futures here down 3.3%. A look here at the daily chart in the SPY, currently holding at about 346.20-ish or thereabouts. This is a break of the recent low that we put in. This low kind of formed a double bottom here right around the 10% pullback level, and we have snapped that. So the question here on the SPY, at least for me here today, is going to be, do we resume the pullback? Do we continue to trade down, or do we have any type of reflexive bounce here today? The one thing that I'm going to say right out of the open here is one of the things that I was saying yesterday is that my suspicion or my hunch, and I guess you could also say my hope, was that after the tariff announcements come out, some uncertainty, some level of uncertainty is going to be removed. Well, the markets are telling us, at least so far, that that is not the case. And I don't know about you folks. I would love to hear it from you folks. I don't know if you feel like there's less uncertainty. To me, it doesn't really feel like a lot of that uncertainty was alleviated. So my hunch was absolutely wrong. And as a result, that's going to affect how I approach things today. The big thing that's going to affect right off the open here is that I don't think that this open is viable, at least not right off the open. At a minimum, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to wait 10 to 15 minutes to see if it shakes out. Well, I do think there is a chance of a reflexive bounce similar to what we saw in Japan. I don't know how this is going to end, and I'm not going to over-lever myself or bet the farm on a day like today. Just like I'm not going to panic sell, I'm also not going to panic buy and put myself in a position that's going to be harder to get out. However, I am going to take a look at some of these levels, and if we continue to move down, I want to try to figure out some spots where adding might be possible or trading some type of reflexive bounce might be possible. But I'm in no rush to do that. Also, given some of the things that we were just discussing here, like I was discussing with Pete regarding the SQQQ, I think that the ETFs might actually make a pretty good place to trade here today because A, they're going to be liquid enough for you to get in and out, and it's probably not going to move like a Chinese IPO like Top W did and create a bunch of bag holders. So I'm going to try to approach this in a little bit more of a slow, methodical fashion. And again, no panicking, no rushing into anything here today. I am going to be looking for a bounce. I may end up trading that bounce, but again, no rush, no reason to do that right off the start here. The other levels to pay attention to here really is going to be, okay, if the markets are coming in, I know today, obviously, like Pete, like you were saying here, this is offsetting some of the destruction in the rest of your portfolio. You're not alone there. Same here with me. Now, I will say, big time shout out to Tim Melvin. Because some of the dividend stocks, I've been bringing guest after guest after guest on here to try to talk about more of a long-term approach in addition to some of the short-term things that we're doing. And some of those dividend and income stocks not really affected, at least not yet. So shout out to Tim because he's been giving us some nuggets here that if you had those in your portfolio or if you've been building those positions, those are likely not getting destroyed like perhaps big cap tech is. If you were holding Apple, I have a long-term position in Apple. It's such a long-term position that my cost basis is in the 20s because of the splits. So the move down here, while painful, not altering anything. Also, Apple under pressure here because there's so much reliance there on China, and China obviously with really high tariff rates. So do we continue to pull back? If we do, what levels become viable? In the SPY, a couple of levels to take a look at before we get to that 15% pullback level is going to be this low here from September 6th of last year. This is right around 540. We're currently at 546. So if the market does plunge or on this gap down here or move lower, 440 could be in range there, maybe even today. We'll see if we end up getting another bounce spot there. I'm sure when 13 gets on, we'll come up with some more targets here. And we could also adjust those targets based on what we're seeing post the open. Quick check-in here on the Qs as well. Let's go ahead and do that. I went ahead and added, I don't have all of the different pullback levels here on the Qs that I do on the SPY, but I did go ahead and add the 20% pullback level. I can totally see tech continuing to pull back here on these tariffs or on this tariff news. The other thing that I noticed here when I measured this, and the numbers might not be spot on because I basically used the measuring tool and I was eyeballing it, but it's going to be really close, within a degree of a percent there. And one of the things that I noticed immediately is that the 20% pullback level corresponds here with the 500-day moving average. So again, some of these tech names, if this brings the Qs down, for all of you that came in short today, especially with the SQQQ or the SOXS, this should be a really good day, at least for trimming and taking gains. And if we move back, or if we continue to move back down here, we'll see if we can find any particular bounce spot. Very much like the SPY, which we just talked about, the September 6th low, that was what, 540 on the SPY. Here on the Qs, it's 448. So this is just down another 10 points from where we're at here on the Qs. We'll see if we get any type of bounce in that today. IWM, one of the other ones to take a look at. This one led the way down, right? This was already in correction territory, down 20%. You could see we actually broke the 500-day moving average, currently sitting here at 193. So that's going to be below this low. Where does IWM bottom? Is 188 a possible bounce spot? We shall see. We will figure all of that stuff out here today. Now, let me go through some of the chat here. Sorry, my bad. No, it's okay, Ivan. It's completely good. It might as well figure that stuff out here. Okay. Let's see if there was anything else in here that I should cover here. So day trader saying Apple has been moving to Vietnam and they got slapped with 38% tariffs. I guess the thought there, at least from what I can deduce so far, is that Vietnam was being used as a means of avoiding some of those tariffs. And so it looks like they were trying to put a stop to that. What that means going forward, I don't really know, I don't know how it's going to shake out, I could say. In the immediate or in the near term here, obviously that's causing a lot of selling pressure. Also worth noting, Howard Lutnick now on Squawk Box. I'm sure there's going to be quotable comments out of him. I can't hear him because we're doing the show, so you folks let me know if anything crazy comes out from there. I do want to go over a couple of stories here, but I'm sure that we've all kind of been following some of the news, so I do want to make it brief. And since we have no guest here today, we can focus a lot on charts and what we should be doing or what we should be looking for here today. But I do want to give a really quick rundown of some of the news. Let me go ahead and share that here. I will breeze through this, and then the other thing, folks, is that if there are tickers that you want to take a look at, let me know. Again, we can spend a lot of time looking at charts here today, especially if we have that time. Tyler here saying, good morning. What are your thoughts on energy stocks long-term? Also Marvell. So I'll add MRVL here. You know what else I'll do here real quick? I'll put energy as just kind of a sector to watch. I did notice here oil is actually down 6% here today. Crude anyway, /CL down 6% here today. We'll see what kind of knock-on effects that has for other energy stocks. But let me go through some of this news here. We will go ahead and go through any tickers that you folks want to see. U.S. stock futures plummeted on Thursday after advancing on Wednesday. Speaking of that, by the way, for those of you that were buying shorts into the close yesterday, just an absolute round of applause. One up. We'll get Chewbacca in here too, just for the hell of it. Really good timing on that trade. I would imagine that at a minimum here, you're trimming into this move just because you got such an outsized move. But hats off to you. Futures of major benchmark indices were down over 2 to 3% in pre-market trading. Invoking a 1977 law, President Trump declared a trade emergency Wednesday, arguing it was necessary to address the U.S.'s large and persistent trade deficit. The White House released a fact sheet outlining new reciprocal tariffs, which Trump justified with the principle, quote, treat us like we treat you. Well, while Canada and Mexico were notably excluded from the tariff program, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Sri Lanka faced the steepest increases under the new system. Gold prices soared to a fresh record of 3,167.71. GLD is actually down here. That just goes to show you how much uncertainty there is, in my opinion. We have the markets down. We have gold down with it. Gold here, GLD anyway, the Spider Shares ETF here, 284.94. That was a closing print yesterday of 288.16. So we're down just about 4 points there on gold. Where was I here? Gold prices soared to a fresh record of 3,167 per ounce as investors fled for safe haven assets. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.06%, and the 2-year bond was 3.78%. The CME's Group FedWatch tool shows the market pricing in a 76.7% likelihood of the Fed Reserve maintaining current interest rates through its May meeting. I'm going to pause right here because, I don't know what Lutnick is saying right now, so forgive me because I can't hear him. But one of the things that the administration has been saying, or hinting at least, or just outright saying, like Trump has said, they want lower interest rates. And so I think that the 10-year yield here is likely going to be the what do you want to call it? The thing to watch, the North Star, if you will. The 10-year yield here, they definitely look like they're trying to lower rates here. And well, Trump can't tell the Fed what to do. He can try to help produce data that's going to nudge them, if you will. Really, the question here is the Fed's always slow to react. Are they going to be slow to react again? How long does this take? And what further damage do we see in equity markets in the meantime? Just something to think about there. The S&P 500 ETF Trust SPY and the QQQ, which track the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ respectively, slumped in pre-market trading on Thursday. The SPY was down 3.08%. S&P futures again down 3.18% right now. And the Qs declined 3.36% to 460. Tesla surged 5%, even after reporting weak delivery numbers. That was actually one of the trades that I made yesterday. We got a news report from Politico yesterday saying that Elon was going to step away soon, or Trump had told people in his cabinet that Elon was going to step away soon. Tesla popped on that. I took some TSLL calls on that move, sold partial later in the day just to book some gains because I didn't know what was going to happen here. The rest of those calls that I hung on to obliterated here this morning. We'll see if they come back. Those were the May calls, so I've got plenty of time on that. But we'll see how that ends up shaking out here. Now, Tesla surged. Tesla down here, actually tried to rally here in the pre-market, but Tesla down here, 266, the price there on Tesla. Surged 5% even after reporting weak delivery numbers. Contrary to the market's upward trend, consumer staples closed lower. Senior economist Jeremy Siegel, in his weekly commentary, explained that the public is more willing to endure near-term friction and economic headwinds from the cuts to inefficient government spending rather than facing higher prices via tariffs, which bring near-term pain with a very uncertain long-term benefit. This uncertainty is one of the things that I'm looking for to clear, to really kind of feel good about going long, and we certainly don't have that today, at least not yet. Quote, or he said, sorry, I skipped over that. He said, quote, dividend-paying value stocks look increasingly attractive. Well, gosh, thank God we've been talking to Tim Melvin, right? Thank God we've been trying to give out some of those plays there that can keep you safe through means like this. We've been doing that for how many months now? Thankfully, we went that route. Anyway, and I expect market rotation from growth to dividend stocks to continue. Okay, so we already knew that there was a growth scare. Now we're getting that accelerated to the downside. Sure seems like some of that stuff hasn't really changed yet. Quote, equity weakness has been widespread. The rotation out of growth continues, and the AI-led rally that defined the market over the last 3 years has decisively broken trend. Growth stocks have taken a larger hit than value stocks. Some more quotes here. I'll just go through them real quick. Dan Ives, we would characterize the slate of tariffs as, quote, worse than the worst case scenario, end quote, that the street was fearing. The biggest focus will be on China's 34% tariff. Remember, that's in addition to the 20% that was already slapped on there, giving it a total tariff rate there of 54%, and Taiwan 32%, and how this impacts supply chain and demand. Negotiation is the only option at this point for the White House. That's something that they've been saying. That will also be something that we should take a look at. How are those negotiations going? When I went to sleep last night, I saw reports on Twitter that the U.S., Canada, Mexico, Israel, India, and I think that there was one more. We're already working. South Korea was the other one. Are already working on deals here. So if any of these come out, we'll see how the market actually handles that. Dan Ives here, I think, is onto this. We have been talking about tariffs being used as a negotiating tool, and it looks like that is still the case here. Economist Mohammed El-Arian said that the tariffs imposed by Trump point to, quote, major worries about global economic growth, end quote. And I know that Mag 7 got brought up. I think Bessent said yesterday that the sell-off is a Mag 7 problem, not a MAGA problem. I guess my thoughts on that are probably not the best time to say that, but that is in accordance with what they've been saying. They've been saying that they are not really paying attention to the market. And it seems to me that this morning, the market is finally starting to believe that. Okay. Also, I wanted to I know that there was some confusion on some of the tariffs and the tariff calculation. And here is the document, the fact sheet from the White House that explains some of that. Just like you folks, I'm still going through all of this. I'm still kind of formulating a plan. I don't have all of the answers here today. Okay. One more story here on tariffs, and then we can go ahead and take a look at some charts. Let me see. Did you guys throw out any other charts here yet? Marvell, no. Let me know. Let's do Avto. Appreciate that. You want to do TTD? Let me add that to the list. And Deckers Outdoors. We'll add that to the list as well. Okay. Let me know if there are any other stocks that you want to go over. All right. This one, Donald Trump sets reciprocal tariffs on key trade partners in historic policy shock. That is an understatement here. President Trump on Wednesday unveiled a sweeping new trade offensive aimed at rebalancing America's trade relationships, calling it Declaration of Economic Independence. April 2nd, 2025 will be forever remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day American destiny was reclaimed. Sounds to me, at least by reading the room here, not a lot of people agree with him, and that's okay. We'll see how it shakes out. The centerpiece of Trump's announcement is new reciprocal tariffs structure that will apply to imports from trading partners set at half of the tariff rate that they impose on U.S. goods. Again, if you want to go into the calculation on how all this was figured out, check out the fact sheet that I just posted in the chat. He stated previous administrations have, quote, ripped off taxpayers for over 50 years, end quote, by allowing foreign nations to flood the U.S. with goods and blocking American exports. This will go on to explain some more of the calculations. By now, I'm sure you folks have seen all of this here. But if you want this as well, let me throw that in the chat here as well. Okay, Tyler, you also want to add OKLO. We'll take a look at that also. All right, time is it here? 8:22. We got plenty of time. I think we should probably start going over some of these charts. Harris, you want to take a look at Rocket, ticker RKT, added. Let's do that too. Okay. Is that it? Let's see. Wackadoodle saying, I'm disappointed that the tariffs were only half of what we get charged. Well, I got news for you, Wackadoodle. You might not have to be disappointed, because one of the other things that we're going to have to watch out here for is what are other nations going to do. The administration has said that if they counter, there's going to be more of tariff raising. So I don't think anything here yet is set in stone. I think the entire thing is fluid. That seems a bit aggressive, but it looks like you may get that. We'll see here. Okay. OKLO, Reba or RBRK. Boy, you guys are getting a lot. AFRM. Let's take a look at that. JPM. That's another one. Riot. I guess we can take a look at that. That's going to be Bitcoin related and all of that. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of these charts. I'm just going to go down the list. Some of these I don't really follow, so I'm basically just going to be taking a look at some of the levels here. Here is Marvell, another chip stock here, 59.50. So once again, actually on Marvell here, we didn't break this low, right? This is a 59 low here. 59 low here, 59.24. So right away, right with Marvell here, right off the bat, definitely want to be looking at that low, right? If we can hold that, maybe Marvell's done. The other thing, or the sell-off in Marvell is temporarily done. One of the other things to note here is that this is right on the border of oversold here, both on Williams percentile and RSI. So again, the thing here today is I think you might see a reflexive bounce. My big caution here, without knowing much more, is that reflexive bounce, if we do in fact get it, that may be short-lived. So I would say that if your plan is to trade any type of reflexive bounce, whether it's in an ETF or an individual name, I would just have a plan in both directions. As always, don't be afraid to book some of those gains, because you might have things changing here pretty quickly. And if you're able to catch a rip in one of these, great. You should be selling into that rip. We'll see. So Marvell here, right at that support. 59 seems to be an important level. We're down almost 6% here in the pre-market, holding on to 59.50 here on Marvell. And if we actually take a look, you see that this is actually a pretty important level going all the way back to May of 2023. So we'll see there on Marvell. Pete, you want to add Google to the list? That's a great one too, because I think Google has some long-term stuff in there. We'll see here on Google. There we go on Marvell. Let me know if you have anything else that you want to go over here on Marvell. And if we need to revisit some of these, we can also do that. Next one here is going to be TTD, the trade desk. This is, you want to talk about one that has really gotten shelled recently. Trade desk is in fact that. We are actually beneath these lows here, right? This looks like 53 was the low. We're currently down 6.3% here on trade desk at 52.75. I'll be honest with you, I think this one's still probably hunting for that bottom. I'm not sure that we're there yet. Same deal here though. Williams Percentar, RSI, both at the oversold territory or right on the border of oversold territory. So perhaps this is another name where you might get a reflexive bounce. Next level down here, no, that one's probably the same. Next level down here, probably $42. That's still 10 points away. We'll see if we can find anything else in here. Maybe this 49.5. But we'll see here on the trade desk. I still think this one is hunting for a bottom here. We actually, I believe when we talked, didn't we talk about this stock with Mark Petrino on Friday last week? And we were pretty much looking at like this kind of trend that this had broken out of. We're also talking about this, maybe even back testing this trend line a little bit, didn't quite get back down there. You know what I'll do? I'll actually extend this out because we might actually end up testing that here today. Let me see if I can draw it through those highs, give myself enough time there. Okay. There we go on TTD. We'll see. It looks like, again, I still think this one's hunting lower. Now our next spot here might be at this trend line. That's at 47-ish, 48-ish there. Okay. I keep Buffalo by Bicycle says, I keep nibbling on Marvell. Okay. Well, you're nibbling at it down at a support level. So I am not going to fight you on that one. The only follow-up question I would have is, what is your time horizon? If it doesn't bounce today, are you okay holding it for a longer period of time? Do you have a plan to kind of add to that to lower your cost basis? What is the rest of the plan there? Okay, that is TTD. Let me keep rolling here. Producer, we have the initial jobless claims coming at 8:30. Thank you for the reminder. I got so lost in the chart sauce there that I actually forgot about that. We'll go ahead and take a look at those. Post them. If I'm rolling and I'm not paying attention to the time, post them. I'll go back and cover them here. We'll get those to you as soon as possible. Next on the list is going to be deck. I almost said neck. I tried to say next, and I almost said neck. Here is Decker's Outdoor. This one here, 101, right? So this also broke that recent low. This one also going to be hunting for a new low here. If we take a look at the low that was just broken here, let's call it 107.5. You'll notice that this level actually goes back to, here, where did I have that here? This level actually goes back to January of 2024. So this was a previous support level. We've now broken beneath that here. 101 is the current price, 101.5. Looks like deck here, some support. Next support here, probably 96. Again, that all has to, this all has to continue for that to get there. But I would say 106, probably your next spot there on the downside. If we bounce here on deck, one of the things you'd really like to see is a recapture of that 20. I'll be honest here, at 119 with us testing 100, I don't think that that's going to be in play today. We would need a massive market rip, and I don't see the catalyst for that, at least not yet. So there you go on deck. OKLO, let's take a look at that chart as well. OKLO down to 7.5% here in the pre-market, down at about $21. Your 200 day is down there at $19.50. So Oklo's had a huge run here. We kind of had the makings of kind of a nasty head and shoulders. Let me actually draw that on there. We'll see if this continues to kind of shake out here. Here's what I have on the chart. There's that head and shoulders that I'm talking about. Looks like we may end up going lower here. Question for me on OKLO, do we hold that 200-day moving average, or do even better, do we peak below it and reclaim it? I'd be watching that level here today. The stack, again, down more than some of the others that we've taken a look at. Down 7.5%+ here. I don't think there was any news on any of these stocks. No. No news that would be affecting these. These are just kind of going with the overall market here. So OKLO, let's pay attention to what happens at that 200-day. All right. Next one here, Rocket. RKT and Rocket, that was recently on a really nice move up. Actually looked like we were going to test the 200-day there. Let's take a look inside and see what happened here on Rocket. So this is interesting, right? This did pull back a little bit in the after hours yesterday, really plunged this morning, but came pretty much right back to flat. Rocket here down 2.24%. Doesn't look like the end of the world like some of these other stocks do. I mean, you compare this to Apple, this is pretty much nothing. Let me go back to that daily chart here and see what type of levels that we're looking at. All right, we sold back down and we maintained holding above the 50-day moving average. That 50-day moving average value at 1334, current price here 1355. You'll also notice that going back to October of last year, we're pretty much right at the volume point of control here. Got that at about 13 and a half. We'll see if we can hold that. This red line here, you can actually see going back has actually produced a pretty important level. Let's see how that changes as we continue to back out here. Boy, that really stays between 1350 and 14. Rocket's price here pretty much right in that range. We'll see if there's any more damage done here. One other thing to watch with some of these housing stocks, and I'd like to get your opinion here on whether or not you agree with this or whether or not you have thoughts here on the housing market at all. I really wish we had Hustle and Bustle here or any of our other real estate experts that have their ears to the street on this type of stuff. With the overall goal here to be to lower interest rates, in the meantime, do you think that the market sniffs that out and maybe goes at some of these companies takes some of these companies for increased business? Do we think that we're going to see home sales increase if interest rates drop? And concordantly, what is the time frame for that? We'll see how the consumer is actually affected by all of these and what kind of appetite there is for buying houses. I know where there's a lot of talk about going into a recession, so we'll see how all of that shakes out here. I think some of these housing stocks or mortgage stocks here are going to be important to watch. UWMC. This is another one that we talk about, United Wholesale Mortgage. Well, I don't trade this one. I know 13 does. This actually has a pretty similar looking chart here. This down a little bit more, down 4.15% here at 1550. Still, though, above the double bottom here at about 1530. Oh, excuse me, 530. Did I say 15? I meant 5. Sorry, 555. Okay. So we'll see if this double bottom holds. We'll see if we retest this level. RSI here, not scary like some of the other ones, pretty much in no man's land. So don't necessarily have a read on this. Wouldn't be the first one that I'm trying to, this wouldn't be the first stock that I'd be trying to trade here today. But nonetheless, there you go. Okay. Harris saying, overlay the mortgage rate with Rocket's stock performance over the last 12 months. If the mortgage rate falls, buy upside for Rocket mortgage companies. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Harris, that's one of the mechanisms that I'm going to be watching here. I don't know if today is the day to do that, but I agree with your thesis there. If mortgage rates start to fall, are mortgage companies then somewhere where you can deploy cash? Someone else said this here. It was Pete. Who's surprised about that? Pete saying cash preservation. This should absolutely be a goal of everybody here today. No reason to do something dramatic. No reason to try to be a hero on a day like today. If you feel like you have a really good trade, don't let me convince you to not do that. But I would really second what Pete is saying here about cash preservation. Day like today, wait it out. Be patient. Let it work for you here. Don't try to be a hero with some of your cash. Okay. Oh, and you're also saying Kroger here down only 0.03% pre-market if you want a safe haven with dividends for a few months. Pete, I think Tim Melvin would be proud of you. Pat yourself on the back. Okay. Peter says, I'm concerned about housing. Pricing and rates are still high. Do you think those are coming down? Given what we just saw here, given what the market is doing, do you think both interest rates and prices are coming down? I guess the follow-up question to that is on what time frame would those come down, right? Because that's also going to be important. Okay, UWMC. What was the next one? Oklo Rocket. RBRK. Okay, this is Rubric. This actually fits into the cybersecurity theme. I'll be honest, with some of the other cybersecurity companies, I don't know as much about this. I do kind of like this one on a barbell approach in terms of this one being a little bit more speculative and then playing that as kind of a pair with something a little bit more substantial like PanW or CrowdStrike or something of that nature. Rubric here down 5.5%. We're currently holding at 59. That was a break. Oh, it's actually right at the recent low here. The one thing that you'll notice is that we did have this big gap up at the beginning of December. Now, we did fill that gap already, but I would be entirely unsurprised if this ends up rolling over here and breaking this low. I would not be surprised if we tried to test that level again. That level's 54, so another 5 points down here from Rubik. But again, what do the tariffs actually mean for this company? I don't know the answer to that. So that would be something to figure out here on whether or not this stock is actually bottomed out or might have a particular bounce. Again, not in a hurry to really buy anything today, unless it really kind of sets up for that. I don't know what the upside catalyst here for Rubric would be, but this is, I would just watch some of these levels. Again, I don't think that this is necessarily bottomed. And frankly, if you asked me, Ryan, what do you want here with the overall market? I would say I don't necessarily want this to be the bottom. We're basically just below the 10% level. I would estimate this at about 12% down from the highs. I'd like to see a little bit more. Maybe we can come into that 15% pullback level. The goal here, I believe, and again, I could be completely wrong. I don't know how this stuff's going to shake out. I could be completely wrong. But the goal here is to bring prices down, bring interest rates down, bring prices down on everything. And we'll see if we end up doing that. If prices on stocks come back down, that would be pretty good for anyone that is still investing or anyone that has a long-term time horizon. On that note, if you have a 401k or an IRA, these declining asset prices are going to be the best thing for you in the long run. In the short run, yeah, it's going to look painful. And when you open up your next statement, it's going to be down. But in the long run, if you're still adding to that, you should not reduce that. You should add every penny you can. Dollar cost average on some of these. I don't think this is the end of the world. So I think taking a long-term approach here is going to be keeping you as safe as possible. Okay. Kind of ventured off there. Sorry about that. Affirm was the next one you want to take a look at here. We're talking about a possible recession. We've been talking about a weakening consumer. We've been talking about people kind of tightening up. With that as the backdrop, I have a very hard time being bullish on anything that's buy now, pay later. Now, if the chart says there's a trade there, the chart says there's a trade there, that's its own thing. But I have a tough time being bullish on the buy now, pay later entire thing with what we're seeing here with the consumer. Now, if we take a look at the chart here, bottom on Affirm was about 42. The recent double bottom here on Affirm, about 42.5. We're here at 43.80. So we really haven't violated that. This would be one of the first areas that I would look at here for Affirm to find some support. Additionally, the upside, we're pretty close to an important level there. We were trying to break the 200-day yesterday. We didn't close above it, did we? No, we closed just shy of it. So we were trying to break the 200-day yesterday. We couldn't. Now the stock's down 8.3% here in the pre-market. Unsure that we're really going to be able to trade up to that 48 level, but that would be one of the upside levels I'd be looking at. It's also worth noting that the 20-day moving average is within 3 cents of that 200 days. So those are converging at this spot. To me, that makes that an important sticky spot there. On Affirm. Okay, and there was no other news on this one, right? Did we get any downgrades or anything on this one? No, we did not. Okay, that is Affirm. And so it was up 5% yesterday. It's down 8.3% here today. It's really not a huge change. Okay, interesting. Born, good morning, Born. It's great to see you again. We have to be patient. This is going to make our economy really get going once it all settles. Born, that's what I'm hoping for too. I don't know how everything's going to shake out, but I'm with you on that, and I'm certainly not going to start betting against America right now. We'll see how long that takes, but I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that in concept, without a doubt. JPM, the next ticker that we wanted to take a look at here. This is JP Morgan, the bank with the fortress of a balance sheet per Kramer. JPM here was pretty much trying to hold on to the 20-day moving average. Today's 4.3% move down gets rid of that. Thankfully, the next spot that we have to pay attention to here on JPM, very, very clear and not very far away. It's going to be your 231 spot. That's going to be your 200-day moving average. Do we settle there? Do we end up breaking that? Further complicating a matter for a new trade here on JP Morgan, they report earnings in 8 days. So next Friday, April 11th, before the market opens, they're going to report earnings. That should be an interesting earnings print. We'll see. I believe April 9th is the day that there's more tariffs. That's a week from yesterday, right? So it was April. Yeah. So a week from yesterday, we should get more news on tariffs. JPM going to report their earnings 2 days after that. That should be a fun time. We'll see how that one goes. Next stock on the list here is going to be Riot. This is going to be one of your Bitcoin miners. Okay, quick check-in here on Bitcoin. This also under pressure here, down 5.4%. By the way, if any of you have an opinion on Bitcoin, let me know. My open order at 70K, unchanged, still sitting out there. And while that was trading up yesterday, sure looks like that's going to be more in play here coming up if this sell-off continues here. So Bitcoin down here today. Miners reflecting that. Riot down 7.6% here. 741 is your current price. You'll notice here that the bottom that we recently traded off of, I would actually call this a double bottom. I know we kind of peaked below it here, but realistically, this $7 area seems to be a bottom. We're not quite down there yet. Riot has a little bit more ways to go, and the RSI pretty much in no man's land. Same with the Williams percent hour. So I don't think we can really derive anything from the RSI and the Williams percent hour here. Let's see what happens. I think if this gets down to 7 and really shows you that it's not going to break down anymore, this actually might be a decent swing. Look what happened the last time this moved off this level in September. You had a huge run here from 6.5 up to almost 16. So we'll see here if that forms a bottom. Maybe there is a tradable bounce here in Riot. Again, if you folks have opinions on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is going, how Bitcoin is going to perform or trade through these times, I definitely want to hear that. Definitely want to hear different opinions on that. Day trader, looking at you, not trying to put you on the spot, but looking at you. Would love to know what you think about the overall Bitcoin market here today. One other thing on this Riot here, I'm going to go ahead and extend this trend line. You see here, we pretty much came down to that. I don't want to alter it too much. I want to make sure I'm going through that low. We'll see here if this also provides a support level. By the time the price gets down here, it would actually be lower than that low print back. When was that? Back from September. So we'll see if we end up getting there. Okay. Next, Google. And this is a good one because this is another one. So we've talked a lot about, hey, if the market really sells off, if we go into a recession, if things really kind of come back in, what are some of the stocks on your long-term list to buy? Google is one of those stocks. Now, Google has made a recent move down from some of those highs. Remember, this thing really broke this trend that you currently see here. This was the break on the Willow Quantum chip. Boy, that was pretty short-lived, wasn't it? We did push to some new highs. Google rolled over. We actually broke that trend line. We bounced back, tried to get back above that trend line, which just so happened to be very, very close to the 200-day. Did not have the strength to do that, continued the rollover here, and have since bounced off the 500-day. But that sets up what's going to happen next, because today here, down 3.8% at 152.80. We're actually right beneath that 500-day. The big thing here, let's see where Google closes here today. If we want more downside here on Google, in other words, if you want to add this for the long term and you want to kind of wait this out, the interaction at the 500-day here, I believe, is going to be important. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I suspect that this is going to be important. If we break beneath this and we close beneath this today, the next 2 days become extremely important on Google. If we cannot recapture that line, if we cannot recapture that level, if we cannot close back above that level within 3 days of closing beneath it, I think that level becomes more of a significant resistance level when we do try to break that. And we will at some point. I just can't tell you when. So If we close beneath the 500-day today, again, that value here, 153.42. If we close beneath that here today, the next couple of days on Google are going to be important. Next level down here past that is definitely going to be the low from September of last year. That low down here at about 149. We'll see if 149 ends up holding. Beneath that, I got to think that 144 is probably going to be your next spot on Google. Now, how quickly would these move to the upside if things turn around? That's yet to be seen. So if you're going to play this for a bounce here, I would say be very tactical. If this is a long-term thing and you're just comfortable holding this, then it's probably going to be a lot easier for you than trading some of these quick situations. However, with Google, just kind of overall conceptually, I do like this long term. But I'm, again, just kind of with the theme here, I'm really not trying to catch any falling knives. I actually have no problem with this bottoming and then starting to trade back up and me not actually hitting the bottom. I would rather do that than add a long-term position of a very expensive stock only to have to watch that continue to get obliterated. Again, patience, it would be what I'm preaching here. Okay. Let's do what all you folks were waiting for. Let's talk to 13. Let's see how 13 is holding up here this morning. 13, good morning. The first question that I have for you, do you feel liberated? You're muted if you're talking. You are talking.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I woke up this morning and saw the market was down. Did something happen?
Something did. I'm still trying to piece it together.
Yeah, so welcome to the effects of Liberation Day. I don't think were you expecting some downside? I was expecting some downside.
I am. I was actually expecting some downside. Long term, hoping and expecting downside to kind of reset asset prices. Short term was definitely hoping some uncertainty was removed with that. I'm not sure how much uncertainty was actually removed with that, at least at this point. So that's kind of what I'm waiting to see here.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing we were just waiting to see is just what we didn't know about yet, and because we knew about the tariffs, we knew the market had priced in a lot of what we knew about the tariffs. Just didn't know that we were going to be, looking at other countries' tariffs and kind of imposing additional ones on them at half of what they're imposing on us. That was new. So the market was not ready for that, and here we are tumbling as a result of it.
Okay. Question here, real quick. Where did that go? Do you still think it's worth buying the SQQQ, or is it too late? Benjamin, this is a really good question, and I'm sure that you're not the only one that has this question. One of the things that I would say here is, again, I would really let the first 15 minutes shake out here. I am not in the habit of chasing moves after a huge move down like this. But again, just kind of going back to the uncertainty here, there could absolutely be some more downside. And in fact, if you said, Ryan, I'm forcing you to make a guess on what we do here right out of the open, I think we probably sell off out of the open here. Really, the only follow-up question I have there is, where do we end up bottoming? So if we do have a reflexive bounce today and you end up chasing this and buying it at the low, you're going to be looking at pretty much red arrows the whole day. And you might be thinking to yourself, God, what did I do? If that continues the same direction, you're going to be like, I'm a genius and this is awesome. The reality here, I think the easy money on SQQQ has already been made. That is to say, Pete, I hate to keep going back to you, but you really did call this pretty good. Pete was trading this yesterday. So if you were positioning in SQQQ yesterday, today is a day I think you trim that position and book some of those gains. If you want to leave a trailer on because you think that this moves down some more, I don't think that's a bad plan either. But again, I think that big, meaty move, that already happened. Now, if the market bounces here and really stalls at a resistance level and you think the market's going to roll over again, that would be a time to add SQQQ. But the difference there is that you're actually waiting for it to kind of bounce back to a support level, if you will, as opposed to chasing the big candle down. So I'm going to, my overall, I don't want to call it advice, but my overall thought here is be patient.
Yeah, I traded the SQQQ yesterday as well, but this is going to be intraday trading because you can take an overnight position on the TQQQ, any directional ETF you want, as long as you understand the risk. And this was a really good gamble going into the tariff announcement yesterday. You guys were rewarded for that if you held SQQQ.
Yeah.
As far as where you are right now, if you're looking to start a new position in that, to Brian's point, yeah, I'd wait to see what the market's going to give us out of the open here. One of the things I like doing with the SQQQ is waiting until it's extended away from some of its moving averages before I start to take a position in it. So if it's really sold off and it's very far away from, let's say, the VWAP, that's going to be, where I start looking to see if this is going to be turning around. I did that yesterday. Was waiting for it to get to a certain level and went slightly past it. I started adding, it turned around and it sold off for a good portion of the day before it went down, before the market found some support. So I just waited patiently for the SQQQ to get extended away from some of its moving averages, and sure enough, like it did the day before, it snapped right back to them. So I agree. You just have to be patient if you're going to start a new position in these, and just let the market tell you what it's going to do first.
Okay. Yeah. The 13, I think that's a really cautious approach. And I think that that's the right way to go about it. That's kind of what I've been preaching here this morning. Yassine saying big bounces today will be in RH and Lulu. Yassine making a bold call right there. Honestly, given what we've seen here, Restoration Hardware down 31.6%. This is going to be one of the, and this is, look, rough day to report earnings. I had kind of joked yesterday that maybe it would have been a good day to report earnings because nobody's really, or a good day to report bad earnings anyway, because nobody's probably paying attention to your earnings report. They're going to be paying attention to the tariff announcement from the Rose Garden yesterday. Looks like that's not really the case here. Downgrades this morning, price target adjustments this morning, missed on earnings, guidance below the street view. This is basically a recipe for disaster, and it's playing out here in the pre-market down 31.6%. But to your point, if you do get that reflexive bounce, maybe this one being sold off so much is primed for a reflexive bounce. The other one that you were mentioning here, Lululemon, LULU, this is down come on now. This is down 14.8%. Okay, you're gonna mess with me, charts. The day after tariff day, you're gonna mess with me like that. Come on now. The one thing that I would caution here on Lulu, this company definitely affected by those tariffs quite a bit. So just kind of sticking along with the same theme here. Don't try to be a hero on these bounces. If you want to look at these for bounces today, I totally get it. These have some pretty massive move down. Even here on Lulu, we are in oversold territory. So I get it. But again, be careful. Be careful and maybe wait for that to confirm. Go ahead.
With RH, I could see that having a bounce more than Lulu for the reason that this is already heavily shorted. So you have a high short interest. So if those shorts start to cover off of this move, or if you start to see some buyers step in and squeeze those shorts out, I could absolutely see a rebound happening with RH, especially given the fall that it's had and the short interest combined. I think that sets it up nicely for a rebound. Lulu, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about. One of the things about Lulu is that they get a lot of their apparel made in Vietnam, and that's one of the most heavily hit countries with the tariffs. So we could see a bounce possibly in Lulu, but I think we're just getting started with the downside on Lulu. I think it's going to fall even more.
Do you have a level that you are looking at for a potential bounce here on Lulu? Okay, if you don't, I'm just wondering if you see some more downside. Like, for example, just kind of spitballing and looking at the chart here, this 230 level, might that be a bounce level?
Maybe 225 to 230. Sure. It's the lows from the yen carry trade. Yeah, yep. We could certainly bounce there. If we don't hold that level, I'd be looking closer to I'd be looking under 200 actually. This could probably end up going down to like the 130s. 132
is your COVID low.
Yeah. I don't know how long it's going to take to get down there, or if we'll even hit that bottom. But if we do lose this 225 to 230 area, that's going to be one of the next areas I look at. Maybe 180 and then 130.
Okay. Really good stuff there on Lulu. Big B's here. Lulu definitely was the bellwether of what that echelon of stocks were going to do. RH could bounce, but that may be a dead cat bounce and then continue lower. So again, Big B's, I like that a lot. Again, thought here is that if you are playing reflexive bounces, please do not be afraid to pay yourself if you get something moving in your direction. Remain nimble. This probably not the day to walk away from your terminal with an open short-term trade. you might have to hold that bathroom trip a little bit longer until you lighten some of that risk.
Yeah. Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So again, let's see. It's 8:54. We've got 36 minutes until the market opens. 13. You know what? I think maybe there's like one mover here today. I'll be honest with you. Unlike a lot of other days, I didn't focus a lot on movers here today.
It's
thin. And I noticed that there are a lot of the ETFs on here, including those direction ETFs, by the way. Wink, wink.
Yeah, so those might be the play today, is those direction ETFs. And folks, just one thing real quick. Don't expect this to be the day where the market bottoms, or think that because we've had a massive sell-off and the tariffs news is out of the way that we're going to start turning around from here. I don't think it's a good idea to expect that. We're just getting started with this. We could see a lot of fluctuations to the upside and downside, but we should be trending more towards the downside for a time before we find some bottoming out. We're going to probably be under the 10% level for a little bit. Don't know how low we're going to go. I would anticipate I have my thoughts on where we end up going. I don't think we're going to go too much further, but we are going to go lower from here.
Okay, real good stuff there. And you set me up. You don't even know it yet, but you set me up perfectly, 13. Here you go. QR code, join Directions experts as we explore the world of leverage and inverse ETFs designed to help traders and investors capitalize on market volatility. Oh, that was well written for today. As 2025 brings new economic challenges and market fluctuations, again, well done, whoever wrote this, those powerful tools could help provide amplified returns and hedge against downturns. Go ahead, scan that QR code, register now for that webinar. Let me get you the exact, I can't remember. Got so many notes here. I can't keep track of all of my notes. That webinar is going to be Thursday, April 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern. So be sure to sign up for that. Okay, 13, really good job. Again, I know you weren't expecting that, but that was a perfect segue. Well done, friend.
No worries.
Well done. Okay, you want to go over some of these movers? We can start here with TIVC, TIVC, TIVC Health Systems. This stock, one of the few stocks that popped here this morning, all the way up to 650, did come back in, broke the VWAP, recaptured it. Looks like it's kind of flirting with that, but it's back and forth here. Volume has dried up a little bit in this. Let's see if we have any news on this. I don't see anything here. No new news. Looks like it's just kind of running on some volume here. We do have 3.54% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That's on very small average volume, but this is a micro float stock, 611,000 shares in the float.
Yeah, we're probably not going to be on the movers too much today because it is a very short list. There's not a lot of really exciting things happening. TIVC here, I think this is moving on relative volume. If you look at what happened yesterday and the day before, we went from I think it was somewhere around 10, 15,000 shares to trading 10 times that amount or more. So the change in relative volume is what I think we're seeing here today with TIVC. It also has 611,000 shares in the float, so very easy to move around. That's why we're seeing these impulse moves taking us to 636 this morning. The company does need cash, so I would anticipate that at some point soon they are going to need to raise capital, making an offering. I really don't have a whole lot on any of these movers. I think this one's in the leukemia and oncology space. And as far as the chart goes, it's trading beneath VWAP. You could draw a trend line from on the lows that it's been making in the pre-market, and just watch for that trend line to get broken. If it does, I think we're going to see some more downside. So I'm not going to move too much into these movers because there's really not a whole lot of substance here with the ones that are moving. It's really just on relative volume, and we're going to be watching the technicals on these.
Yeah, I like Buffalo by Bicycle's comment here. They're all movers today.
Yeah, they are.
Indeed. I don't know if we really need to focus on some of these smaller junk stocks here today. Pretty much everything is moving. The props on that one, Buffalo by Bicycle. We'll bring Chewbacca back for that one. Look, I'm just trying to put smiles on some faces here today. All right, next one on the list is going to be NIVF. This is New Genif Group. Probably pronounced that wrong, but YOLO. Group shares are trading higher after the company announced it had secured a $5.2 million in funding to drive international expansion. Stock popping here from penny stock territory up above $1. Quick look around the horn here. Short interest, 3.96% of the float shorted here in 1 day to cover. That's on just shy of 100 million, or excuse me, a million shares of volume. Today, we've traded 20 million shares of volume, so that is completely negligible. 4.782 million shares here in the float. 13, what do you got on this one, if anything?
Yeah, this one started moving after I started looking at the movers, so I didn't catch this one until it just just started making these moves here. Looking through the news here, it looks like they had some kind of reverse merger with European Wellness Holdings. So that's one thing that we may see a future headline on. So it looks like they announced the termination of that on Monday, March 31st. So there you go with the announcement. As far as what happens with this funding that it's getting, I really don't know. I'm sorry I didn't cover this one. It's okay. A little bit late into the morning when this started moving. 4.78 million. 4.78 million shares in the float. Let me take a look at what the chart looks like real quick and see if I can find some levels for y'all. Looks like it broke through a supply area just above $1. So that's going to be viewed by me as a sort of a demand zone if we continue to trade above it. That's going to, it needs to hold above $1, but there's still support going down to about 88 cents if it does lose $1. So if that does happen, I guess there's some support there. But once it goes under $1, shorts tend to pile in, and it doesn't typically work out too well. We have seen some stocks go above and under $1 frequently. I think we were trading a couple of those yesterday and earlier this week. So I'm not going to say it's impossible for them to go back down and come back up, but that's just some of the nature with some of these penny stocks that trade that low. They really do get the shorts to pile in under $1.
Okay, good stuff there. NIVF, we will see on that. Next one here is going to be OSRH. And just kind of looking at this chart gives me heart palpitations. We had a huge pop here from 159 on March 26th up to about 470. And we just leaked all of those gains back. Just complete round trip here. Took what, 8 days? 6, 7, 8, 9 days? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We're popping here today. We did get as high as 250. This was actually a previous resistance area on this 5-minute chart. Did we have news on this one? We did. OSR Holdings enters into an $80 million common stock purchase agreement with White Lion GmbH Innovation Fund with an eye towards leveraging Innovate GBM's nonprofit ecosystem to accelerate glioblastoma therapies. So $80 million stock purchase agreement with Lion GmbH Innovation Fund. That's what's popping this here, 42%. Quick look here at the short interest, 56,000 and change shares held short. I don't have a float reading. Maybe you do, 13. Stock on average trades 5.34 million shares. Should be no trouble to cover that up. I don't think there's any squeeze potential here. You got anything here on OSRH?
Well, 7.2 million shares in the float. I didn't cover this one, but the way it reads sounds like they're going to be diluting the shares some more. That's how I'm understanding this common stock purchase agreement. Otherwise, I'm just looking at this on the chart, and you could actually draw a trend line to break to the upside from the price action we've had this morning. So this one may actually provide us with some decent trading. Looking for this to get back above VWAP, which it's currently trying to recapture at the moment. I have that at 217, and it's trying to make its way up there. I see a wall of sellers at 223, but that should be about right where the trend line is. So we break this trend line, we should see some better price action in this. That's what I'd be watching for with OSRH.
Yeah, and to that point here, it's really holding two on the downside, so it is kind of setting up. I know if I drew a line here, we'd probably have like an isosceles-looking triangle. We'll see if we break out of that. You know me, 13. I just wanted to use the word isosceles here today. Mission successful. Okay, as far as the rest of the movers, they're all ETFs, right? So they're all going to be some of those leveraged ETFs. That's pretty much it here for the movers. We can move back to the main chart tool here and resume taking a look at any of the stocks that you folks want. 13, you have one you want to start with here? I'm going to scroll back through the chat to make sure I didn't ignore anybody, because that certainly was not my intention.
No, sir.
Make sure.
Let's go with what the chat wants to take a look at.
Okay, I'm basically just reading tickers out of the chat here. Bobcat wanted to take a look at Intel. So here is Intel. Intel down 3.69% here today. Let's see where we're at here. Okay, so we actually are looking like maybe we're going to fill this gap down here. Got that at about 20.90. It's only, 30 cents away from where we're at. We'll see here on Intel, really the big level for me on this one, $19. One of the other things, which is the level that we've really been holding since last year, one of the other things I do want to see, is there any relative strength that we can find here today? Anything that, the goal here is to bring American manufacturing back, reshore businesses here to America, this, that, and the other thing. So do any stocks respond to that? Does Intel respond to that? Does Ford, General Motors, Tesla respond to that? What, how do these things actually respond? And can we find any relative strength within the market here today? Do you have any levels here on Intel that you want to go over?
Well, what's interesting about Intel is that the price where it's at right now is actually down to about the same, or just under the same price it was on or the highs of March 12th. So we're kind of gap filling this big move from this big gap that was created from March 12th to 13th. Now, of course, we are going to open and create a gap ourselves between yesterday and today. But we could end up filling that to the upside. So I think that being down here and stopping and you're getting support right about where this gap starts from March 12th, I think we would want to keep an eye on that. That might be an indication that support's hanging in there. I just want to, because it's, we've been seeing this gap fill all week. I think it started last week when it began to fill. And this would be the day where it's going to be filled. So I'd watch that level. This level is going to be 21.17. That's the high from March 12th. We're at 21.16 right now.
Okay. Good stuff, 13.
Yep.
Good stuff. Okay, let's see. What else did I... can we take a gander at Meta and Apple? Yes. Somehow. I think I did take a look at the Apple chart just when I was rolling through some of them, but I was going to say somehow none of those were added here to the list. Also, Ford, it looks like, was added. Let me add that. We'll take a look here at Ford. Let's start here with Apple and Meta. We'll start with Apple. Tell you what, folks, you rarely see Apple down 8% in the pre-market here. So kind of a rare day here with Apple. The daily chart really shows you everything you need to know. These levels are actually one of the easier ones here, in my opinion. We did break the recent low here. It sure seems to me like 200 is going to be the next spot for a number of reasons, right? First of all, we've been talking about 199, 200 being a pretty decent support for Apple for some time, even before all of this took place. Looks like we're coming right in there. And also that 500 day seems to be right there. So what I'd be looking at here for downside on Apple, what happens at 200? Does it find support there? Does it crash through that support? Does it start hunting for what do we have down here? The yen carry trade low down here at 196. Those are going to be, I'm just going to start with that. 199 to 200, that area going to be your first support on Apple. 196 beneath that. 13, what do you got on Apple?
Wow, that's crazy. You have the same levels I've got. I've got 196.
How about that? It's like we're looking at the same chart or something?
Almost. That 196, that's the low from the yen carry trade, but it's also a support area from back in 2023. Additionally, that $200 level, that's also the highs from 2023 as well. It's about there. If I look at December of 2023, the high was 199.62. And then that same year in July, the high was 198.23. So just shy of 200. And look at the big move to get over 200 that we got in June of this past year. Just a massive breakout through 200. So absolutely, I think 200 is going to be a big support area. You also have the 500-day SMA in that area as well. That's going to be at 252 cents. And then you also have, and this is a little bit more concerning, you have a death cross that's about to form here on Apple. And that's another thing that makes me worry, because when I think about how Apple operates and where they get a lot of their products made, a lot of that is over in China. We just had a Liberation Day that absolutely hammered China with tariffs. So I'm a little nervous about how they're going to respond, because what if they just decide, oh, well, we're just going to start an investigation into Apple over whatever trumped up charge they want to make up, and that leads to them either shutting down factories or seizing assets, or basically really disrupting things for Apple. That's the big concern I have with this company right now, that they just are really over leveraged in China.
Yeah, so, we were talking about that last night. What was it? The what do they call it in China? The non-trustworthy list or something that they can put companies on and start opening those investigations. What was the term? I can't remember, and I don't want to say it wrong.
Let me look it up because I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And while you're looking up here, another stock that has very similar type China exposure that is really under pressure today is going to be Nike. We talked a lot about Nike recently here, about this, being at specific levels, really important support levels, and that 60 to 63 level was a really sticky one that we had outlined. We're down almost 14% here today on Nike, 55.91, just beneath 56. This same deal here. Now, this is totally oversold on Williams Percent R and RSI, but again, I would not be in a hurry to buy any of these.
Nike only has about 11% of its manufacturing capacity in China now. They've moved a lot of that to Vietnam, and Vietnam was the one that was getting really hammered with the additional tariffs, because they had like a 90% tariff on the U.S. So what Trump did was basically halved that and imposed it on Vietnam. Nike, Lululemon, and a number of other apparel manufacturers or apparel retailers, they have their manufacturing done in Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia. So it's when I saw that Vietnam was getting hit with those tariffs, I knew that it was going to hurt Nike pretty bad, and here we are today. So this is just the exposure risk that some of these companies have by being large multinational corporations that rely on other countries to manufacture their products.
Okay. Good stuff there that we did hit those. Ford was the next one here that was asked about. Let's take a look here at Ford. Ford here down 2% here in the pre-market. Worth noting that during this announcement yesterday, Trump did bring out folks from the UAW, the United Auto Workers Association. They were all on board for this. I didn't see any long faces there. They definitely seem to be very supportive of this, but we'll see how that all shakes out here. Ford down 2% after being up 2% yesterday. We basically just did a LOL. We're going to delete that day. Ford here sitting right at 994. We're still above the 50-day moving average at 974. We're right at the 20-day moving average at 995. And we're also right at this volume point of control, this 990 area. This goes all the way back and encompasses all of 2024. So Ford here actually at a pretty decent support level. We have seen Ford lower towards the 9s. We'll see if we sell off towards that area, but still above the 50-day. That would be one of the next downside spots. Do you have anything here on Ford? I know I'm kind of going fast and furious, so okay. No problem.
Right now for Ford, yes, the 50-day SMA is one to watch. That's going to be an important level of support. But right now, what's got me focused on this is that it's 20-day SMA. It's been going up and above and beneath it quite frequently lately, and right now we're going to open beneath it. It looks like we need to stay above that SMA. That's going to be I think that's going to be the one that's going to take us up to the 200. We also have a lot of consolidation, a lot of supply above $10 that we are going to have to the stock's going to have to deal with, and it's going to make its way up to that 200. If you look to earlier this year in January, a lot of consolidation in there from about just under $10 to as high as 1040. So that's going to be an area where I think we're going to see a lot of either back and forth. We'll see resistance. We've actually already started to see some of that late last month. Got up to 1040 almost exactly. Actually, we did. That was the high last month. It's 1040, and then we just sold off right after that. So 1040 looks to me like that's going to be a big area to get over if we can manage to recapture the 20-day SMA.
Okay. Good stuff there as usual, 13. All right, next thing here, we're going to take a look at a stock, but we're also going to give a shout out. STFU, good morning, brother. I'm trying to look for something here to highlight. Okay, I'm highlighting his comment so you can see his name. It has nothing to do with the 46% on Vietnam. STFU, big time shout out on Tesla to 280 yesterday. You had called that in the chat in the moment. And Tesla, in fact, did exactly that. So you know what, STFU? Register ring for your call. A one-up, level up for your call. Really good stuff here today. Let's take a look at Tesla next as the segue there.
Great call.
That was a really good one. That was watching levels, being tactical, being nimble, pretty much everything we were preaching STFU masterclass on that yesterday. So really, really good stuff here. As I was saying earlier here today, not to forget, but Pete, really good call on some of the shorts that you made yesterday too. Really good stuff here from the group. I'm happy to see it. Yeah.
Real quick, Alex Morera, the current read I have on Ford's dividend yield is 7.4%.
There you go, 7.4%. Alexa. I think you said Alex? Anyway,
yeah. Is it
Alexa.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Alexa. I'm sorry about that.
Man.
At least I got the last name right?
I know. I'm trying to be a stickler. My thing is that I know I pronounce so many names on this show and I know I screw them up that whenever I know I can get them right, I try to hang on to that. That's all that was. Sorry about that, 13. Okay. NVIDIA, I think, was the next one we wanted to take a look at here. NVIDIA. Let's turn the channel back on. I'll be honest with you, folks. Nothing has changed for NVIDIA. I feel like we look at the stock every day. I feel like we update levels on this stock every day. Nothing has changed here. The level that we're still waiting for here, 99 to 100, that corresponds with the bottom end of this parallel channel that has been intact from November of last year. It's down 6% here today. It's at the center of all this tariff stuff. To me, it sure seems like the level to look for. If we plunge right out of the open here, I would watch NVIDIA here, because if you do trade down to that level, you might have one of those reflexive bounce setups there. So no new levels for me here on NVIDIA, still that 99 to 100 range. Round number, bottom end of the channel. 13, what do you got here on NVIDIA?
Yeah, much any lower than where we're at now, we're going to be looking at September lows. The September low that I have here is going to be 195 cents. We are at 103.98, so call it $3. I think we to your point about going lower, we need to test the bottom of this parallel channel that we drew. That's going to take us under 100, and that'll take us also underneath the September 6th low. That to me seems like the most logical direction to go with given the news and everything. I don't know how many more insiders that are holding shares are going to want to continue holding given the pain that is, I think, about to happen. So might continue to see some selling. So I'd be looking at the lows from from last year as potential support areas. So starting with September 6th, you have the low of $100.95. And then you have the August 5th low from the end carry trade unwind. That's going to be down at $90.69. There's also a potential area of support at about $96 as well. So those would be the next three levels I'd be keeping an eye on if we sell off in NVIDIA. That and the bottom of the parallel channel. Okay.
Good stuff there on NVIDIA. So we're talking a lot about some of these levels. We're obviously given the arrows that we're seeing here in the pre-market. By the way, S&P futures right back down to the lows here. Given the arrows that we're seeing here in the pre-market, we are focusing on some downside levels. One more thing that I kind of want to add to this mix of things here, looking at the VIX, current VIX reading 27.16. 13, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here with this, but do you think that's high enough? I'll go first. I don't. Okay, you didn't even have to wait. You already had that answer ready. I absolutely love it. I'm agreeing with you there. I don't think that this is high enough yet, which is another reason why I don't think the open is viable here. Yeah, let's see what happens with that VIX. We get a 30 print, we rock it above a 30 handle, and then we start to reverse. Maybe then. VIX here at 27. Nah, we're not low enough yet. I don't think that we're going to get that really impact bounce right away. I could be wrong. We're in uncharted territory. I've been wrong before. And if you've ever seen Sunset Boulevard, I make many mistakes. I'm sure that I will continue to make some more. I just don't think the VIX is high enough here this morning. So we'll wait and see if that shakes out here.
No, the VIX went to 65 on August 5th from the end carry trade. So,
exactly.
I mean, and we might have another situation like that, especially if we get rate cuts too fast. That's another thing that we have to be mindful of. If the Fed decides they're going to do, if they take a look at what's happening with the economy and they decide to do a special meeting, that's because they're going to be cutting rates. That's the only reason to do it. The next meeting they have scheduled is next month.
Yeah. Okay. See, I was going through sweet one here. Talk about buying opportunities, although counter sanctions and counter sanctions still yet to be seen mostly, right? So yes. And again, just kind of reverting back to one of the things that I was saying yesterday ahead of this meeting, it was my hope and it was my gut feeling that enough uncertainty was going to be removed for it to be tradable. I think that I was wrong on that. I don't think there is enough uncertainty removed yet. And what you're highlighting here is part of that, right? We're still waiting for counter sanctions. We're still waiting from responses from other countries. So I don't necessarily think, okay, well, we moved down here. Everyone's freaked out. Now we can buy. I don't think we're there yet.
Absolutely.
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. And there's still more sanctions that we are going to impose. I mean, think about the Venezuelan oil issue. Anybody that buys oil from them is going to get hit with another 25% tariff. We're not done with tariffs yet. We're going to have more tariffs coming because, according to Trump, if these countries don't play ball, they're going to get hit harder, and they're going to reciprocate that back and forth. We're just getting started, folks.
And I believe that date is April 9th, right? 13. I think he said
for some more. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Lunar was another stock that was mentioned here. I just got to say, I'm extremely thrilled with how many things we've been able to go through here. Here's your Lunar chart, currently sitting here, 759. Let's take a look and see where that is here. That's actually above the 500-day moving average right here at 738. So the big move down here on Lunar, we went right to this 500-day. We consolidated around the 500-day. We tried to push away from it. The 20-day said, not yet. You didn't say the magic word, channeling its inner Dennis Nedry, and was unable to do that. We've come right back down. We're sitting right here at the 500-day. To me, this level is going to be important. We're not quite totally oversold yet on the RSI here in the Williams %R. So maybe this does move a little bit lower here if the market does flush right here at the open. Let's see what happens if it finds any type of support right around that 738.
I feel like this might be a little bit easier because when I look at this chart and I look at my moving averages, I have the 20 that's been suppressing the price from going up any higher than like 950. It's been writing it down ever since it touched the 20-day SMA. Tried to get over it yesterday. Closed over it. Now we're going to open beneath it again. So until we start closing frequently above that 20-day SMA, we're going to have to hope this 500 holds up. So far, that's been doing that. So I think that's going to be the situation that we are faced with right now. Is the 500-day is your support and the 20-day is your resistance. Which one breaks first?
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that here. Okay. Alexa, another question here. China hit with a 54% tariff. So I know that there was some confusion on this. Yes, the total rate is 54%. Remember, they had a 20% rate already. Trump announced 34% additionally on top of that. That brings it to 54%. So I know one of the charts or one of the numbers that was out there was 30%, but if you add the existing 20% on there, that's how you get to 54%. That is correct. Okay. That pretty much does all of the stocks. I think I did see Mara and Mr. Strategy here mentioned. Strategy down 7.8% here. 288 is the value there. This is really not even uncharted territory for MicroStrategy. We double bottomed off of the 200-day down at 235. That is 50 points lower than where we're currently at here on MicroStrategy. So definitely feeling the effect of this here, but really we didn't even crash down to levels that we were at
Last month.
March, beginning of March here, March 11th. So there's, if this really starts to get slammed, there's definitely more room to the downside here. If this really makes a run towards that 200-day, that level becomes important, but we'll see how that shakes out here.
It's interesting because it's kind of near a support area. I think that support area might be closer to 285, but it's somewhere in that range of 282 to 285. I think that's you're going to have you're currently seeing the support. That's about where we're at right now. We're at 287, just under 288. So I think we may see some support in this, but this morning. But I think that range that I just mentioned, 282 to 285. If we lose that, then I think we're going to have another visit with the 200-day SMA.
Okay. Okay. What else do you guys want to do? So Zachary is asking, so why is gold down here today? So this is an interesting question. We commented on this a little bit earlier here. This to me shows that we're probably not done with the entire reaction. This also shows me that the uncertainty that I was hoping was going to be alleviated is not. It's basically affecting everything. Gold down here 2%. Now, look, let me reset this here. Gold down 2% here at 282. I don't really think that this is a huge move down here on gold. I don't know where this is going to go next, so I'm not going to pretend to know where this goes next. But just to kind of answer your question as to why, it again seems to come back to the uncertainty here. And I just don't think enough of that has been alleviated. Do you have any thoughts on gold, 13?
Yes, I think that because it's been on a massive run lately, especially like since I think year to date, it's been absolutely huge, maybe record breaking huge. This is likely profit taking.
So just to add to your profit taking, I'm here saying gold is down to maybe pay some margin debt. That's not a bad call either.
Yeah, so I think we're seeing profit taking. It was very frothy. I don't think gold's done yet. To your point about it not being down as much, it's just seeing some selling. It's got to cool off from the big run it's had. I don't think gold's done yet. I'm still looking at 3,500 for the by the end of the year. I think that's a realistic target. But today, I think the tariffs may have been a sell the news event for some gold buyers. But we're not. I don't think gold's finished yet. I just think that we are just cooling off from having a massive run in the metal.
Producer here bringing up a rather interesting possibility here. Peter Schiff selling all of his gold because he got liquidated on Bitcoin would be the funniest thing ever. I would laugh. I would laugh at that. Not sure if that's going to happen, but I would laugh at that. Okay. Amanda here reminding us. Yeah, Amanda here reminding us again, and I like this. I'm going to highlight anyone that takes a long-term approach here. I think you're doing it right. Let's just throw it out there. So good on you, Amanda. Honestly, if you bought and hold gold historically, you were never wrong, and that is absolutely accurate. Gold is king and going to stay king, says Atlas. Okay.
Yeah. Everything, even kings need to go take a nap. So
yeah. Okay. So it's been a fast and furious morning here. We've got 4 minutes till we open. 13. Can I put up a chart and let you drive the ship here for a minute while I visit the washroom?
Okay, go ahead.
What do you want me to pull up?
What does the chat want me to pull up?
Yeah. What stock do you folks want to take a look at? Did I miss one? I don't think so. I think I've done a pretty good job of staying on top of this. Mitosis. We did look at Intel. I'm sure we'll look at it again. Let me know if there's any other stocks. Oh, UPS. Okay. Someone had to thank you, Daniel or Martin. Someone had mentioned that earlier. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Here's your UPS chart. 13. Just give me a brief moment. I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem. So UPS, this one has been trending down for some time, and it's fine with me because I'm a buyer of this. I do own this. I will likely add more. Currently having a dividend yield, I believe now over 6%, especially with this move down. The last print here I have was from February 5th when they announced their last dividend. That was 5.8%. So yeah, we're definitely down to 6 at this point. That makes it pretty attractive to me. Levels that I have to the downside, if we continue, I mean, I'm looking at $100 next, and we're still $7 away from that. So not sure if we're going to even go that far. I see that there is a area of support at about 104. you draw a line there and you look to the left, starting at about 2020, like when the pandemic began, we rebounded and came back up to 104, and then we started selling off again. It took us back down to 90 in May of that year. So 104 is going to be the next area, I think, that we see of support in UPS. Do you have a specific question about UPS? Because for me, I like it. It's a buy. Since UPS made that terrible deal, it's working. What terrible deal are you referring to? Because if you're referring to the UPS not working with Amazon anymore, I view that as bullish because their margins are going to be much better. They might not have the same volumes, but they're going to have better margins.
Okay. Jane here saying Ryan and 13 are the calm in the storm for me. They always make me feel better. Thank you. Look, Jane, reality here, I've told the story a number of times. I'm self-taught, so I've made many mistakes, and I've tried very, very hard to learn from those mistakes and pass what I've learned on. I'm not a millionaire, and I do have another job to go alongside with my trading. So factor that in as well. But again, definitely want to make sure that you're making good decisions. Panicking is never the right decision. So I don't want to see anyone do it. And that's pretty much where I'm coming from. Okay.
And
we're open.
Good timing.
I did my best.
All right. So I'm just going to take a gander here at the movers we were talking about.
I'm going to watch option flow.
Looks like OSRH, the one that we drew that trend line to break. That's trying to break it right now and get to its VWAP. It's pretty slow moving, so I would be careful with this one. I want to see better volume out of this, but it is making its way up to VWAP.
Okay,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, finish.
Oh, I was just going to move on to the next one. If you have something to say, go for it.
No, I was just going to say good morning here. Stay focused.
Hey, stay focused.
Thanks for joining us here. How are you doing this morning? What are you looking at here this morning? Stay focused. Would love to hear from you.
NIVF with the pop. That's getting some good volume.
Okay. NVIDIA first move was down and it's bouncing here. So maybe I'm going to be made to look wrong again here. I said don't buy the open. So far, first move here is up. Yikes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see what the market tells me it wants to do. With how we were kind of selling into the open here, a rebound seemed like it would be possible. I didn't want to assume that, especially on a day like today.
Me too. And again, just kind of going back to the not panicking, waiting out the first 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to stick to that. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm going to stick to my plan.
I also noticed that ICCT was flagging on the movers list this morning. So might see some more price action out of that today as well. It has been going sideways ever since the sell-off yesterday, still on that sideways channel. So that's going to be from about $2 on the downside to about $3 on the upside. So whichever way we break out of, I think that's the direction we might take for the rest of the day.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the heat map. Roses are red, violets are blue, and the heat map is red too. Look at this, just massive red across the board. Healthcare, consumer staples, really the only pockets of green so far. I guess no honorable mention there to utilities and some communication services. See if Google can kind of turn around there. Let's go back to the, excuse me. Let's go back to what happened?
I just was looking at Dollar General. That thing just said, you know what? We're done selling. Let's rip. This thing right back up into the higher 80s. Now it was down like to 85 earlier this morning, I believe.
You know what's interesting about that?
Yeah.
Dollar Tree not doing the same thing. Dollar Tree absolutely shelled here today. Remember, going into this, I had been trimming on some of the long swings, not the long investments, but some of the long swings. I was all out of Dollar General for pretty good gains too. But we'll see where Dollar General goes here today.
NIFV pushing to the highs. OSRH that tried to get up to VWAP, but it just fell right back down. Now making some new lows here, almost down to the beginning of this impulse move in the pre-market. You have the 65 and 200 EMAs that may give it support down around the low 180s.
I'm seeing NVIDIA calls getting bought here in some decent size. Tesla ripped right off the open. I would be shocked if the remainder of my TSLL calls that I bought yesterday don't get it. Oh my God. They're back down to where I bought them.
I
thought these were going to be obliterated. I sold partial into the move higher when we peaked 12 yesterday. I thought the rest of these were going to be obliterated. They're right back down to where I bought them.
TIVC.
Oh, you know what? Hang on one sec. I hear the alarm going off in another room. One sec.
Okay. This was going to mention TIVC. That's trying to get above some of these highs it was making in the pre-market. Looks like your resistance with this one's going to be about 575. This one needs to hold above this. I think we drew a trend line for this one as well. If we lose this trend line, it's going to look bearish. All right, so this trying to hold above its VWAP, not looking great, but there might be some more. It's the MACD is still curling, so we might be able to get to push up above 636, which is the pre-market high from when we opened this morning. Have a wall at 552. Interesting number of about sellers there trying to keep this thing from going any higher. Don't know where this goes if we take that out though.
Okay, real quick here. Tesla's ripping, market is bouncing here. Again, one thing I had mentioned this earlier here. One of the things that I was doing last night is I was watching the overnight markets and how they responded to all of this. And I had said earlier here today, the Nikkei, when it opened up, gapped down 6% and actually went back to flat. Now, I'm not sure if our market's going to go back to flat here, but just understand we did see that in another market here. We are seeing a bounce here in the market. Costco, absolute mega candle here out of the open, just a complete rip to the upside. This actually might go red-green.
Yeah, I'm going to be very cautious about these rips here.
Yep. Again, another reason for sitting on your hands here, don't get faked out here by a head fake. Stay focused. I'd asked you what you were looking at. Appreciate you, brother. Focused on healthcare, Gilead, Amgen, and AbbVie, and looking for a buyable spot on gold. Okay. Can you say anything about those bios that you're interested in? Let's actually take a look at them, see how they're doing here today. Gilead up 2%. Boy, stay focused. Knows how to find some things. Amgen, let's take a look at that. Up 2%. AbbVie, ABBV, up 2.5%. Stay focused. I talked about relative strength earlier here today before you got on. Looks like you're already finding that here. Really good stuff.
NIVF halted up. Thanks, Crimp Biscuit. We also have APVO. That's halted up after having a pull just before we opened, about half an hour before we opened in the pre-market. So those two are halted to the upside right now.
VIX immediately sank, by the way, 26.48 on that VIX print. Oil coming up, crude coming up off the bottom too.
MDT, SYK, been watching medical device companies to see how tariffs may or may not affect them. I do like MDT. Let's see how that's looking today. It's opened higher, or actually kind of opened about the same where the close was yesterday.
Real quick here, Webcoin, going to highlight this comment here. I am keeping in mind that Trump does not want a major market crash or economic crisis, so I think he will moderate if necessary. Sounds to me like one of the things that you're saying here is that there's still a Trump put somewhere under there where if the pain just gets too bad, maybe he'll blink or concede. I would exercise caution on that. Again, just kind of going back to Besson's comments last night, he was asked about technology getting absolutely destroyed, and he said that the Mag 7 problem is not a MAGA problem. So maybe you're right on this, but I would just exercise caution if that's one of the things that you're looking for. They have told us flat out that they don't care about the market. Clearly, the number one goal is lowering interest rates, which is why I think that the 10-year yield is going to be the North Star there. So again, just be careful with that, but just saying. Exercise caution. Theme of the day. Lab D, where's Mike? I believe Mike has been crushing Lab D here. This nice little pull, but a huge move higher yesterday on the tariff announcement.
ICCT blasted off to 336 and then pulled back to BWeb.
Apple, that bounce right out of the open, sold some and actually seeing some option flow here to the put side on Apple. Those are going to be the April contract. Looks like short-term trades. Those are going to be the contracts that expire tomorrow.
Newsmax headed back to 10 with the mission. Is that still falling?
Newsmax
18%.
down another 18% here today. Look at this.
Wow, right? It's down to 42.50. Wow. Wow. All right, so what's looking good? Tesla breaking 273.
Tesla is on an absolute rip right now. I mean, an absolute rip. And actually, I know it's early, so I'm going to knock on wood, and I'm sorry if I'm the one that ends up jinxing things here, but initial reaction out of the open, not as bad as anticipated. Netflix ripping, NBIS ripping, Costco ripping, Palo Alto trading up, Bitcoin up off the lows, Tesla with a monster rip out of this open.
Yeah, so Tesla, yesterday we went sideways from about noon to the end of the day. That created a supply zone that I think we need to keep an eye on. That's going to be from about 279 to 284 is where that zone is. Yeah, you can see right there on your chart.
Yeah, real quickly here, let me address this. Mazrur, I'm new to investment. I need your insight. In situations like this, I lost my $800 profits. Just not to panic. Is that a good strategy, or should I have sold? Okay, so to the part where you said, should I have sold? Bro, if you have a time machine and you can go back and actually do that, do it, but also let me know, because I got big plans that I want to do with that as well. Now, here today, I think you need to kind of reassess that. Why did you end up buying that? Is it short term? Is the trade over? Did you buy options with a limited time frame? Are you in stock? Do you still believe in the stock long term? That's kind of what I mean about not panicking, right? You're seeing a whole bunch of red arrows on the screen, but don't let that guide your decision. Instead, focus on the plan. Hopefully that's helpful. Sweet one, saying this is just for shits and giggles. You really shouldn't take advice from people on the internet. This might surprise some of you. Sweet one is exactly right. You should not take advice from people on the internet. In fact, 13 and I have gone to great lengths, especially 13, shout out to you, for saying, hey, if you're confused, if you're new to this, get a financial advisor. Get someone who is a fiduciary, whose job it is to look out for your best interest.
Even if you're not.
Even if you're not.
I think everybody should have a financial advisor. If you think you can keep your eyes on everything at all times, well,
I got a bridge to sell you.
Yeah, you should get an award. I mean, you're not going to be able to keep an eye on everything at all times. If you have somebody that's in your corner, especially when it comes to your retirement, that's keeping an eye on things for you, that's probably some of the best help you're going to get. I would absolutely think that's what everybody should do. Have a financial advisor. They may bounce things off you that you didn't realize or didn't think about.
And they give you ideas. That's right.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Take my advice. Don't take my advice.
Right.
Yeah. Look, 13 and I are not in the business of giving advice. We are not licensed. That is not what we are doing. We are going to try and share our experiences and make sense of things, but please don't rely on us for advice. Find a fiduciary. They'll do a better job. Amanda here saying Ryan wants to go back in time and choose to be a Packers fan. Amanda, you're great, but I'd rather pry my eyes out with spoons.
It's already a red day. Let's not make it super bloody.
Oh, okay.
So with some of these movers, go ahead.
So I was just going to say that first bounce here, one of the reasons didn't want you to get head faked. It looks like we're pulling off that a little bit. Let's see if we retrace any of that move, or if we set up for another break higher here. SPY doing the same thing. SPY, this pullback here did take us beneath the VWAP, although it does look like it's trying to firm up around that VWAP.
NIVF, one of the movers from this morning, has a high of 148 it just made. Trying to go higher. This is out of a halt. APVO, I believe this is also halted a second ago. This is also trying to recover. It's still beneath its VWAP, but trying to recapture. What's up?
I love our community here. Yeah, I give advice, but never on stocks. Yeah, I do that on sports. I stick to. Oh God, this STFU. That's sorry. I almost read the rest of that troll.
Oh, perfect. Not volatile at all.
Oh, that's on me. OSRH, another one of our movers. Sad trombone. Apple, by the way, that bounce that we initially got here. Hope nobody got head faked on that. Apple resolving lower here. Look for that 200 spot that we talked about. And IVF halted down.
That one. Popped out of a halt and then.
Yep, 3 minutes. It was out of a halt.
That's right. All right. Looks like Hans is long AMGN.
Real quickly here, Amazon came down to the trend line that we drew. I am seeing some bull or some call buying here on the unusual option scanner. So Amazon may be at a potential bounce spot. Izzy, what do you think here? Hans is long Amgen. That's one of the ones that Stay Focused was looking at here. That continuing to move higher here now on Amgen. That's a really good call. Stay Focused. Really good.
ICCT ripping. It's back to the highs it made a moment ago. 346. Still getting support from VWAP. Maybe it does go higher. And
VIX bouncing a little. Netflix holding its highs. Costco holding its highs. NBIS holding its highs. Tesla pulling back a little bit. Win. Did you mention Win on the happy hour last night? That's hurting here today. Yeah, that's hurting here today.
Yeah, because Win Resorts, they have a lot of exposure to China from their Macau locations. Mm-hmm. So I think that accounts for a very large portion of their revenues. So yes, absolutely, they are getting it.
Good morning, Mike. Great to see you, my man. What are you watching here today, Mike?
Yeah, MLGO and ICCT, those junky names from earlier this week, they're on the move, and last week. MLGO now at $19 after starting at $15.55.
NAC, by the way, Northern Dynasty Minerals, we traded this one here recently. That is popping here today as well. Here's your MLGO. Maybe we backtest this trend line here. I've got that value right up at about 22.5.
Yeah.
Broadcom calls. How aggressive are these? Boy, those are leaps. Wow. January of 2027, 256 contract lot there. What was that strike? 300. Whew, that is a outsized bullish bet there on Broadcom through leaps.
I like it. All right. Let's see here. MLGO still pushing up more. Still at about 1906. Not hasn't gone any higher since I last looked at it, but we might see a little bit of cooling here. This thing has a RSI of 82 on the 5-minute. Let's see.
Tesla still getting a little frisky here. TSLA.
Yeah, sweet one. We are getting a bounce, but yes, absolutely. It's gonna likely go lower with the retaliatory tariffs.
And we have said here we want to watch that, right? That's going to be the next step here. We expect to see some of that. I was actually wondering if we were going to see some of that overnight, but it looks like we haven't got a whole lot of it yet.
All right.
Here's a comment here. Sorry, here, 13, real quick. This is from Reuters. Mexican President Sheinbaum says exclusion of Mexico from U.S. general tariffs is good for Mexico. Mexican President Sheinbaum says the country has built a good relationship with the U.S. and dialogue and cooperation after Trump's tariff announcement. That does not sound like a ring the panic alarm comment out of the Mexican president. We'll see how that ends up.
No, and I wonder if that's going to carry any weight with some of these other countries that are looking to not have tariffs imposed on them. Like, oh, hey, Mexico's working with the U.S. and they didn't get any tariffs. Maybe if we do the same thing, we might get these tariffs lifted. I mean, it's a very elementary thought process, but it's just been the way it works.
Yep.
Let's see.
The Tesla bounce here, retracing about 50% of that stick. SPY looks to be about the same there. Is that initial bounce here being sold into? Cam saying, anyone else holding on to Apple? I'm holding on to it as a long-term investment, not for a trade. I'm in no short-term Apple trade at the moment. I will let you know if I change that. RH, the pain continues, down 40% here today. Tom saying, okay, that comment from the Mexican president means avocados are safe. Tom, big guacamole fan. Okay. Pete's got the calls today, folks. Pete talked about Kroger here this morning. Kroger ripping up almost 5% here. Pete, when you're right, boss. Another good call from our chat here today.
MLGO polling now. Couldn't get above that in 1906.
Avocados are never safe. They brown immediately. You guys are making me laugh on a day where there's just red all over the place. That's what I like to see.
I would have liked to see Dollar General actually come in some more, but this thing decided to just rip past its 200-day SMA.
What were we saying about relative strength here on Dollar General? Sure looks like it's got it. Sure looks like there is some relative strength here against the sea of red. Dollar General ripping here.
It was nice that it was trading down around 85 earlier. I thought, cool, we're going to actually have this thing cool off a little bit. Nope, we're now at 71 RSI.
That would have been another time to maybe even re-enter that if that had come in enough. Did not get that opportunity. Here's Meta. Meta continuing to push lower here. Meta down 8%. Anyone think we get to this 500-day moving average at 545, 546?
Yeah. I don't know how long, but yeah.
Some more spots to the downside here, probably 500. That might be another support spot. That's 38 points away. We'll see here on Meta that continuing to move to the lows.
Well, it does look like there is a demand zone created by sideways price action. I mean, geez, like I have 520 as a support level, so we'll see if that happens next. But this consolidation that started ever since we gapped up in February last year, this whole consolidation area is something I'd be keeping an eye on for a reversal. And that's going to be, I mean, if you include the lows, that's going to be from like about 415 to 530, quite a range.
NEE here, ticker NEE, Next Era Energy. This popping here. I don't know if you recall, we talked about Stephanie Link recently. Today's Thursday. Was that Monday this week? Might have been Monday, or it was late last week. We talked about Stephanie Link. This is one of the things that she said she was buying here. This is up 3.3% here. Zippity saying, kudos to Ryan and 13. We have been waiting on a flush. So indeed.
Thank you.
So we've been waiting really for the market to pull back here. Again, just a couple of thoughts here on like the bigger picture. I know this might not mean a whole lot when you're staring at a bunch of red arrows on the S&P 500 down 3.5% or whatever, but lower prices on stocks, that's what we should want to see, especially those of us that are still paying into a 401k or an IRA. You want these asset prices to move lower. If you have a long-term time horizon, that's inevitably how you're going to make wealth. This is not the time to not contribute to your 401k or your IRA. In fact, you should be putting every penny that you can in there, frankly, and dollar cost averaging on some of these moves down here. So we've been waiting for a flush because we are not going to bet against America, and we believe that that is going to allow us entry and allow us to build wealth over the long term. One of the other things, we talked a little bit about real estate. 13, actually, I wanted to check in on Rocket. I wanted to get your opinion on that because we took a look at Rocket earlier. Rocket here is actually up here today, plus 3.4%. The other thing here about, these tariffs, maybe this does cause housing prices to come in, and that would be really good. Lower real estate prices are better for the economy. I know that on its surface, that might not sound correct, but trust me, the lower real estate prices are, the more people that can buy a home. A home is almost everyone's biggest asset. If the prices are low, you're able to establish those at lower prices and then build wealth as your asset appreciates. When home prices or when real estate prices are high, that's not so much of a wealth building scenario as it is a wealth transferring scenario. Right? If you have a really expensive house, someone else with a bunch of wealth is going to be buying that from you. You're basically just transferring that wealth. However, when housing prices come in, you give not only first-time home buyers, but anyone that wants to buy a home a better chance at buying an appreciating asset. So just to kind of keep that in perspective as well.
Did you want me to some thoughts on Rocket?
Yeah, if you have any. I tried to comment a little bit on UWMC, but I know you follow that a lot more closely than I do.
I still own UWMC. Probably will for a while. I did take profits on it ever since when it ran like up to like over $9. I was cutting my position, but I still like UWMC. It pays a really nice dividend. With Rocket, this is having a hard time getting above, getting up to over 16. Like it's having a hard time just getting up to 16 since the year started. We bottomed in January, which was nice, but since then we have not been able to get above and hold above that 200-day SMA, which is just beneath that 16 handle. And if you look at where the 16 handle is, you can see that from in November when right after the election, there was a lot of consolidation there. So there's some challenges to the upside for Rocket, but this has also got a very high short interest. So I think we are seeing some squeezing action here as well. We might, I would, I'm not surprised at the downside action off the acquisition of Mr. Cooper, but that could end up being a good long-term play for Rocket. But that would be the thing I'd be watching for is see if we can get above 16, because that's been the area of resistance so far this year.
Gilead still holding near those highs that from that initial move out of the gate. Amgen, same deal here. AbbVie was the other one on that list that we got that was having relative strength. That has since pulled back here a little bit.
Wow. Some of these names are just moving on very light volume as well. Like when we traded earlier, Microvast, MVST, that's moving right now. Not big moves, but it's moving.
Did anyone trade Top W yesterday? I'm really hoping that no one from our community got bagged on this. This thing, we talked about this yesterday, had it mentioned it to you guys before the market even opened here. We had this thing halted as soon as it opened. Literally, the IPO opened, it moved up, it halted. 4 halts to the upside, then it just wild all over the place. I didn't trade this at all. I know that there were some people after the last Chinese IPO. What was the ticker on that?
That was WTF, wasn't it?
Thank you, WTF. How could I forget that?
I know. Anyway, I won't say it.
After WTF, I know that there was some thought here to trade this one. I love that you guys were saying that the next IPOs coming are STFU and LOL. That went over well.
Yeah,
Jay Rice, good morning.
ROFL.
ROFL. Jay Rice, good morning. What are you looking at here today? First Solar ripping here today, plus 6.4%. You think that that's a trade on interest rates coming lower?
This thing's been hammered, but yeah, I think that's what we're seeing here with First Solar is the potential for lower interest rates. I don't think this really has any business being this low, but traders going to trade. You could draw a trend line from the highs in June 2024 through the high of September last year. That would be the trend I'd be looking to break to the upside. But there is one that just lost back in February that it needs to recover as well. This recapture of the 20-day SMA is encouraging. We need to see multiple closes above that, and then the 50-day SMA, which has also been keeping the price down. We start recapturing these SMAs, I think we're going to break those levels.
JYD, this was somewhat of a box job here. This is curling up. Good luck on that, Wes. Hope you're okay. PTIX, another mover that was being mentioned here.
I don't think First Solar is a meme stock. This company it's a real company with real revenue. Meme stocks don't generally have, see how much it makes. They don't generally have 1.5 billion in sales and almost 400 in net income.
VIX is starting to creep up here, 2687. Bitcoin pulling off of those reflexive highs as well.
TIVC is halted to the upside. Don't know how long it's been halted, but keep an eye on that one. This could pop over 5 again. VWAP is at 513.
Izzy saying Twitter issues finally, no buys yet, Ryan. Yep, sit on your hands. That was my call out of the gate here. Still sitting on my hands as we wait for some of this stuff to shake out. SPY, by the way, I know we had that reflexive bounce right out of the open here. We're pretty much right back down to the lows so far. Again, another reason. I know. Sorry, I don't think that the open was viable. I know that we traded up out of the open, but here we are retesting some of these low levels. Breadth negative across the board. Ford completely round tripping right back down to the lows. Jamie Dimon looking for SMST, of course, looking the short on the MicroStrategy ETF. Jamie Dimon, I guess I would have thought that this was higher. I guess I would have thought that this would have had a higher price here today. Izzy looking for Amazon under 180 tomorrow. Okay. Stay focused asking, how are the China stocks holding up? Look at this. Baba went red-green. Stay focused. Let's take a look at yin. Yin. This is on its way back to green as well. So this, well, I'll tell you what, this is really off the low. Sorry, 13.
They're not all doing well. Pinduoduo is down 4%.
So it looks like a mixed bag there. Okay.
Could be, yeah.
Baidu
I was just looking at Baidu. That's also down almost about 2.5.
Baidu's is significantly off its lows, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, some of these companies, it's going to be the companies that do business in the U.S. that are going to get hammered. If there's companies that only do business in China that are publicly listed in the U.S., then those, or that have limited revenue exposure to the U.S., those might be doing better. Is Micron a possible strong buy? I think I like this one better down around 75. Not that 80 isn't bad, but we've been waiting for this to choose a direction out of this consolidation. Since last year, since the middle of last year. I think it's starting to choose a direction. What?
Oh, was that me? Was that me?
What? Is what? Oh, well, I guess it was him.
I guess it was me, but I'm still here, so maybe it was just a hiccup.
I don't know, but welcome back.
Thank you.
Stay focused. Stay focused. Temu is owned by Pinduoduo. That's PDD.
Actually,
somebody saying boom. I don't see the boom yet. It still has the highs from about 10 or 15 minutes ago. That's 389. It's having a good day though. NVIDIA halted down. Sorry.
It's okay. NVIDIA is still up off the lows. That I actually seeing call buying here. Starbucks, this would be another one with big China exposure. This moves to the lows, but also seeing some call buying there in Starbucks.
We didn't cover this mover this morning because it was going in and out of being at the top of the chart. But APVO, that's Activo Therapeutics. This one's was moving on relative volume this morning. Has 1.45 million shares. Company needs cash, but they did file an offering prospectus, so an offering is coming. Didn't have time to completely go through all that, but it looks like they're offering a series of warrants that are based off the one of the closing prices the stock had previously, which was 116. So that's what's going on with APVO. Tivik about to unhalt. Thanks for that news. MU can definitely go a little lower. I agree. And Martin's looking for us to take a look at Shop. And then Jay Rice said Dell. Wow. So Shopify.
So Dow moving lower here. That's the Dow wow comment, right? Yep. New lows here in the Dow. SPY still approaching those lows.
So Shopify just lost its 200-day SMA today. First time it's had an interaction with the 200-day SMA since September 16th last year.
Here's your Shopify chart.
Yeah.
This got to be a reflection of the consumer continuing to tighten.
Yeah.
Got to be.
I think isn't there like a buy now pay later angle with Shopify as well? I can't remember if there is.
There might be the only experience I have with Shopify is that some of the companies that I order stuff from end up shipping with Shopify. I've never used or investigated a buy now pay later with that.
Gotcha. Looks like SQQQ is starting to turn back up. Went as low as 40.36, but has recaptured its VWAP, trying to get through some of these resistance areas. Looks like this next one here is about 41.15. ICCT, thank you. What did it do now? It went up to 395. That's the new high. And then it pulled down to VWAP. APVO trying to recapture its VWAP as well. I always get you right as you're about to talk.
No, I was just, I'm reading the comments here. Roostom saying Neo must be kidding me. This stock is bleeding. No, we're definitely not kidding you. Something that manufactures cars in China there, with the tariffs on here. No, that's definitely going to be a net negative for Neo. This is actually up off the lows, but I wouldn't be surprised at this move.
ISM services came in weak. Thank you for the mention of the economic news.
SDOW here, this is breaking and going higher. Your next high here going to be at 58. Yes, stay focused. This chart does look pretty good. If we get it more continued down move here, SDOW not bad. SPY continuing to roll to the lows here, 543 now. Hopefully nobody got sucked in on that bull trap bounce right out of the open. Hand sitters so far winning, unless you came in short.
NIVF, this is heading lower. OSRH, kind of just doing nothing at the moment. Trying to get above this trend line that we drew earlier. This is going to be the second attempt at this trend line. MLGO, this is beneath its VWAP now, but trying to get find some support so it doesn't fall any further. That might happen closer to 17. And there it is, down to 17. Let's see if it reverses.
I'm seeing a report here on Twitter. Traders boost the Fed bets. They now see a 50% chance of fourth cut this year. Gosh, it's almost like the goal was to drive interest rates down.
Almost. Louis Navalier, that's how you pronounce his name,
yep.
Right? He was looking for 4 rate cuts this year, too.
Yeah, he sure was.
Yeah.
Dollar General appearing on the relative volume scanner. Boy, I tell you what, this thing has been resilient. This was another good trade here. Probably should have done that in some more size.
Well, I think you'll get another opportunity. This thing's
I
very
think so
extended.
too.
It's extended. You'll get another opportunity for entry, and it'll be good. But I agree. This thing needs to cool off. I own this, and I think it still needs to cool off. I don't want this long-term play of mine to have a 71 RSI right now. That means it's going to have to come in. Powell loves to catch falling knives. What did he buy?
My favorite comment from Happy Hour yesterday was Andy saying that Powell can't wait to retire and go to Grateful Dead concerts.
I was just thinking about that too.
My favorite things. He is a huge Deadhead, so. TJX plus 1.5% here. Does not care about the tariffs.
Then how is ROST looking?
Not great. Not terrible, but not great here. Down just under 1%.
DG has a huge gap on the daily. It certainly does.
APVO coming back to its VWAP.
Lion Atlas saying Louis Nevelier is the last one he would take advice from. Well, I don't think that's a great comment because that means you trust Jim Cramer's opinion more.
Louis been around for a long time. Seen a lot. Very successful guy. Some Apple calls. How aggressive are these? 210 calls expiring tomorrow. That's just a short-term bounce bet probably on Apple. That pound in the lows here. SQQQ, this looks like this might try and test 42 at some point here today if that can break out. GRRR, this is up off the lows. How's PayPal doing? PayPal more lows here and puts getting bought into this move lower. Those also short-term trades though.
ICCT now 440 high. Great moves in ICCT. This is over 100% now. It's still going. One for one Uber bought at 71.05. Just sold 1,000 shares at 72. Nice job, Izzy.
Yeah, nice job, Izzy.
And what is SPY doing?
Nice little double bottom there on that 15-minute chart there on Uber, trading against that 70 level. That was good.
OSRH broke that trend line up to VWAP now. Looking to take that out. These trend lines, more times than not, they are breaking and running.
First Solar continuing its rip higher here, plus 7.6%. 140 prints there on First Solar.
That thing was just so hammered.
Yeah, it sure was. And by the way, that trend line, we got ways to go if we're going to test that trend line.
Mm-hmm.
SDOW also appearing on the relative volume scanners, that continuing to push to the highs. So those shorts working here. 543 just got snapped here on the SPY as well. Some more new lows there. We didn't quite breach yesterday's intraday low, but we did take out the pre-market lows here today. EWW, here is your Mexican ETF. This plus 4.5% here. EWC, your Canadian index fund. This about flat, down just under 1%.
Nice job, Sideshow.
Yep. Register rings for you.
OSRH.
Smoked tuna. Yep. Which one?
OSRH, the one that just broke its trend line, now through its VWAP going higher. Might come back and test this VWAP as support. If it does, be looking at 250 is the next level of resistance.
Jay Rice mentioning XLE here. Jay, what type of level do you have as a possible buy here on XLE? You want this maybe to get down to 88, maybe a little bit more? What do you think here on XLE? Because you're right, we generally don't see a 5+% move, 5.5+% move in the utility ETF. How's gold responding to this? Oh, you know what? I want GLD.
Should be, it's getting a bounce though.
Yep. Okay.
SQQQ still pushing higher.
I don't think they were thinking about that STFU. I don't think that they were thinking about the ticker being ew.
ENB is crazy.
ENB, you said?
Yeah, that's the
Enbridge.
That's the oil stock out of Canada.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Did I say utilities? Yeah, XLE is energy. I said it first, and I think I went back and said utilities. Tyler, how badly do you think the tariffs will affect the next few periods of earnings reports? That is an interesting question. So my thought here is that, Patriots just made a trade with the Cowboys, but it's kind of a nothing trade. So the earnings reports. So with the uncertainty not being removed, how on earth are the forward guidances going to be any good? If you're a CEO, if you still have uncertainty regarding these tariffs, how on earth are you going to guide? Or how are you going to have a strong guide? So to the point of those earnings numbers, we're already kind of expecting poor earnings numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers come in as a perfect excuse to lower that bar. So this next round of earnings, I would expect those to be weak.
Yeah, probably going to see a lot of margin compression, a lot of CapEx getting pulled. All right. NIVF is now beneath the dollar again. Had a nice run up to 148 this morning. Has fallen ever since.
This one of the big destruction names here. RH down 42.5%, down $106. Stephen Mnuchin, former Treasury Secretary, coming up on Squawk on the Street. We'll see if his comments give any more clarity or provide any more market moves. Tesla, that huge move higher that we got, that has been deleted. Tesla almost back down to the pre-market lows.
Mike, I'm pretty sure there's still tariffs on steel.
How is U.S. Steel doing here? U.S. Steel down 3.6%. How about Nucor, NUE? Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Way to go, Rhino. Nucor, worse, down 6% here. These are still being impacted.
That's thanks, Shubham, for that information. Is it time to short? It is time to short NVIDIA, says DS. He's saying it is time.
I mean, I still think NVIDIA's next level here is that 99 to 100. So, I mean, you're still looking at what, 4.5 points?
Yeah, I'm still, yeah. I mean, I don't know how far. If we're going to lean on the on what happens following death crosses in NVIDIA, then it's got a lot of room to go down if that's what's going to happen. I don't know for certain if that's what's going to happen, though, if we're going to end up getting that large 60% move to the downside.
ICCT new highs here, tested 5 on that push higher.
This thing is crazy. I keep wanting to. I keep thinking I'm going to find a good spot to enter into this, and it just keeps going higher. I just don't want to chase this at all. Either steel or copper don't have. Yeah, I'm pretty sure steel has tariffs on it. Copper, I would think that also has tariffs on it, but I don't. Maybe not. Let's see here.
Some of those dividend stocks that Tim Melvin has talked about, they are down here, but not down a whole lot. Actually, not a bad spot to add to some of those.
You know what, Mike? You're right. There already are tariffs on steel and aluminum, but it's not going to have overlapping tariffs. And then I think copper is not subject to tariffs. So I think you're right about that. Copper.
Are any of those part of the USMCA? Because those are exempt.
Well, okay. So I don't think that's what I'm getting at with these. Yes, I understand that those are exempt. That's what Trump was saying yesterday. But we're just talking about the metal in general, and we don't source it from just Mexico and Canada.
Mike saying, why do the Penguins have tariffs? Mike, we needed to send a message. Penguin lives matter. We needed to include them. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to get you to chuckle.
That's right, producer. Russell 2000 that entered a bear market, and I even think we had a death cross on that not too long ago. Yeah, we did. That was on March 19th. So lower we're headed with this one. I have the next support at 188. Copper will fall under global 10% tariff. Okay. Take care, Line.
Take care of yourself. Sorry, I'm still looking around the Twitter streets here. And I apologize in advance to all of you. I know it's only 10:16 here, but I was up early and I've drank a lot of coffee here today. So I apologize if I have to keep stepping away. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just being honest with you.
It looks like we're getting a little pull in ICCT. I still don't want to chase this. What a big move this thing had this morning.
I don't think this is at a viable spot.
Reddit pounded.
That's not a surprise.
It's under 100 finally. It is coming down to a trend line, though. We might get support with this one around the mid to high 80s. You have that trend line on yours? Oh, you don't. So
no, well, you know what though? Hang on a sec, because it wouldn't have been on this chart anyway. It would have been saved to my bigger chart where I amalgamate all that stuff. Let me pull that up here. I might still have that 113. Nope. All right, let me redraw this and I'll save it. What is this from the high here?
We're going to start. No, we're going to start with March 26th of 2024. That's near the IPO, and draw it through the high of July 15th, and just keep it going.
High of July 15th.
That's still lower. It's much. Yeah, there you go. That high. Just draw it through that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And
that actually goes right through the breakout spot. That's what you were saying. Okay, awesome.
Right. Yeah, because remember when we drew this, we saw the breakout over that line, and we were like, "Oh, this is a great trend line."
Yeah.
So now it's going to be support. I don't know if it'll hold the price up, but this is where we'd be looking for a potential bounce. Big bees with the left field comment here. You know that for or Motel 6 for that matter, right?
Breaking news from the producer here: the Penguins will announce reciprocal tariffs on the U.S. at 3 p.m. Eastern here today. Okay.
Uh-oh.
We'll have to watch out for those. Thank you, producer.
OSRH still holding above view. I'm looking to try and push higher here. Maybe 250. I think 250 is what I said could be the next upside level for where we could see resistance. That is one of the highs from pre-market. That happened at about 8:30 this morning.
Baba, red green move here now plus 0.6% here, 130 and continuing. TIVC halted down near the, or right at 4, excuse me.
I'm still getting price action on TIVC.
Are you? Oh, yep. No, trading halt. Interesting. Okay. Well, didn't have the resumption in there. Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. OSRH, you guys are looking at this thing to go. So 250 might be the spot then. What are you looking at? Where's your exit with this one?
225 looks to be the spot that it really needs to break. 253, one of the highs in the pre-market. 279, the other high there.
Yeah, I see some sellers kind of concentrated around 230, 232. Just need a little bit more volume expansion. APVO, this thing is trying to get back above its 65 EMA. Had multiple attempts on it. Needs to do it soon, or I think this goes lower. It's SQQQ now going higher.
Sorry, Sweet One here asking Newsmax when options. So, we've been talking about that recently. I had actually looked this up after the CoreWeave IPO. Generally, the document I looked up said generally it takes about 5 days for that to come out. CoreWeave's came out in 3 days. Newsmax still doesn't have them. One of the other things that I was saying there on Newsmax is that you might want to wait for those options to come out. It might really start selling off. Well, it didn't even wait for that, obviously. Newsmax really making a huge move down here. Congrats to anyone who shorted this. There was just no way that I was gonna be able to open up a short, even though I knew that this was too high. Would have much rather played that through the options market.
So we traded this one earlier this week. VMAR. This is halted to the upside. Looking to see if it has news now. It's VMAR, Vision Marine Technologies. This is. It had news on Tuesday. I think that's probably the day we traded this. I don't see any other news other than that, but this thing is halted the upside right now after having a big old move from 453 to 580.
This thing was halted a handful of times yesterday.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Would you take it? Here's a good question. Would you take a depression if it meant your grandchildren having the ability to buy a house?
I don't think I'll have to make that choice. Sorry for skirting the question. I don't think that there's a depression coming. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't think that that's on the table.
Yeah, I don't think I know how to answer that either, because there's risks to that. Just so my grandchildren could buy a house. I mean, I have a house. They can have mine when I'm done with it.
I bet you'd even let them live there while you were still in it.
Yeah, sure. I'll need all the help I can get when I get old. Everybody's saying no.
Yeah, Will's saying the same thing as you. I'll give my house to my kids.
Wealth transfer. Let's see. So we're looking at what's STF you looking at? He says no catalyst. Are you referring to VMAR? Newsmax has 72 million lost last year, if he's not mistaken. I also heard someone say only like 6% of shares are available to trade, but research didn't research the claims. Yeah, you know, there's no good reason for Newsmax to have that valuation. It was no good reason at all.
No. Nope.
Well, MLGO looks like that found some kind of a bottom. It's ripping back up through VWAP.
Which one? Sorry, MLGO.
MLGO, and looks like ICCT just made a slightly higher high. A little bit concerned about this price action unless it goes higher, because this could be some topping out if we don't go higher than this.
Mike says, well, we debated that question over a bottle of whiskey yesterday. Mike, the real question is, what kind of whiskey are we debating that over? Maker's Mark, Canadian Club, or somewhere in between?
Anything from Scotland, perhaps?
Scotch.
Yeah.
That does sound mighty good right now, but way too early for that. See it, guys.
What?
CNBC is breaking out the 3D red bear that they put on their market sell-off thing. It is on TV right now. So if you use that as an indicator, that indicator is going crazy right now. The bear looks pissed. Market turmoil inbound. Jameson. Oh, okay. Canadian Club, last bottle. Okay. You're in Canada, right, Mike?
MLGO through VWAP. The volume's very low and it's very spready. Be careful with MLGO.
Wells Fargo maintaining an overweight on Uber, raising the price target to 90.
TIVC is popping right now, trying to get back up. Trying to get back above the 65 EMA. On its way to VWAP.
Tesla starting to bounce here. See what else do we have out here? Apple's bouncing. NBIS actually really strong. That held higher. So did Costco.
Oh yes, Glenlivet's a good one. I actually have one that my wife bought me here with me. It's a McLeod's 18-year sherry cask finish. We also have OSRH starting to move.
Glenlivet, really good there. Talisker, one of my favorites. And of course, mentioned in a Robert Louis Stevenson poem, The Scotsman Returns from Abroad, the king of drinks as I perceive it, Talisker, Isla, or Glenlivet.
Yeah, so sweet one. I'm there with you. Balvenie is a good one, or I believe they call it Balvenie. I personally like Macallan's.
I like Macallan's. I like Balvenie as well. You know that the market is rough when we're talking Scotch recommendations. That's what we do here.
Yeah, I like that. Dalmore is another one I have a lot of as well.
That one I'm not as familiar with. You spoke very highly of that one. Maybe I need to up my game a little bit.
I recommend checking that one out. That's a good one.
Okay. I got to make it down. We got to have a cigar and Scotch night down in Texas on the pad, on the 13 pad.
We will do it every night.
Oh,
it's just it's just that kind of thing. I mean, you come out here and you enjoy the atmosphere. We're gonna after dinner, we'll just go and shoot the shit out in the patio.
Perfect. Pulling up Expedia as we speak.
All right, so let's see, Singleton Scotch. Yeah, see, I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to this. For me, I don't know if Singleton is or not because I haven't tried it, but single malts are going to be the way to go for me. I typically don't like blends. Yeah, it's my first time trying McLeod's too, Sweet One. I don't normally get this one. My wife picked it up for me because I was looking for one I hadn't tried yet, and that's one that she landed on. Yeah, Lagavulin.
Yeah, Lagavulin, also really awesome. Talisker is my personal favorite there. We got good taste around here, Saul. Welcome. Welcome to the fold. By the way, David, really good idea. Keeping your eye there on Intel. Intel actually a pretty nice move here if you took that off the lows. Intel now up 1.5% on a pretty nice red to green move there, honestly, on Intel. And you know what's interesting about that? Maybe I missed them. I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't see a whole lot of unusual option flow come through on Intel.
Look at
cost red to green too. Yeah, that no. I mean, well, I shouldn't say nobody. I don't want to speak for anyone else. Not surprised here on Costco.
Just keep an eye on that 50-day SMA. The last time it tried to pop up and take that out, it was rejected and it went right back down to the 20. That 50-day SMA is going to be at 986 and 67 cents.
TTD, someone asked me earlier to review this chart, and I said it was still hunting for a bottom. Well, lo and behold, TTD down 10.6% here, still hunting for that bottom. So at least that wasn't a buy off the open there.
Looks like OSRH might finally make a move here. It needs to, because if it doesn't do something with this consolidation, it's just going to fall out of bed. Really need to see this thing take off and go to 250. Might get that.
All right, 13. I'm going to leave this chart up here. I've held it off as long as I can. BRB.
No problem. Well, yeah. Look at MLGO. That's making new highs here. 1929. That's where the high of the day is. We're starting to get a little bit of selling here off of that high. Like I said, I'm still going to keep saying it. Just be careful with this one. It is still very spready. The volume is still pretty low. Good to get that pop up here to 1929. That did expand the volume a little bit, but just let's look at the price action on this thing. Look at how few orders there are between where the price is now and the next order. It's just very, very spready. Be very careful. 90-cent candle. There you go. OSRH, MLGO, ICCT, fantastic week so far. You are killing it, Crow. Johnson & Johnson, solid. That did have, it's just a core of your portfolio. I've owned it since 1990s. I've been finding that under 145 has been the area to add lately. And I say lately as in like the past several years. Yeah, look at this. Actually, we haven't really seen too many prints beneath 145 since it's only been a few times where we actually got down there. That's 2023 and then last year a couple times. Before that, we weren't even really getting down to 145. It was 150. That was the buy area. But this one does look like it's trying to turn around.
Which one?
We're looking at Johnson & Johnson.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I do own this one as well. Want to see this get back above 159.17. All right. Did get a little bit of a pop there with OSRH. Disney is getting pounded. Well, they should make better movies.
Don't they have China exposure too with one of the theme parks?
I don't know if they ever sanctioned that one.
Affirm also still hunting for a low there.
Yeah. I don't have a better answer on the Disney one. I think there's multiple things going on with Disney that are turning it down. All right, so OSRH. So let's see, we had a high of what? That was 240. It was 10 cents shy of that 250 level we were looking at.
Spy trying to hold here. I see Mnuchin is still giving an interview on CNBC. I don't know if anything came out of that.
Did he talk about the bank he's in?
I can't hear. I don't think so, but I don't have the interview playing here. I don't see any comments in the news feed from him.
Is it a Swedish company, Fairchild? Because then that would be the correct pronunciation, right? Yeah, Snow White was. It blows my mind that they still ended up releasing that thing. It really does. They should have Batgirled it. And what that means is they should have just canceled the whole thing even after it was made. No, because that's what they did to the Batgirl TV show. They canceled the whole thing after it was made. Had a whole season done. Canceled it. They should have done the same thing with Snow White. That thing is costing them so much money.
You think they'll remake 101 Dalmatians with Black Labs or no?
I don't even know if I should answer that question.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily see the point. If you're taking a classic and you're going to alter it so much that it no longer resembles the classic, I don't know what the thought process is behind there on like a larger scale.
There is just so many missteps they had with that movie, but they've already made like 2 live action 101 Dalmatians, so I don't think they're gonna. And they did that before, all this woke stuff came about. So I think they dodged a bullet with that live action remake.
Whoa! Scanner just flashed with a whole bunch of ETFs. Gold ETFs going here.
What was there some kind of news?
Well, I just think that this is. So how's gold actually doing? GLD. So we were talking about. Okay, so was there any news specific to gold? No, but we were talking about how the uncertainty. Well, I still felt like there was a lot of uncertainty. It was not abated as I had hoped, and that was I was kind of using that to explain why gold was also down with the regular market here. However, it looks like from the open, traders are actually rotating into gold there. So obviously they look at that as more of a safe haven.
Bilger. Yeah, they'll all be neutered dogs, right? All right, MLGO. So 1950 was the high. Still looking for 20. APVO still needs to get over that 65 EMA. What else?
I only see like a handful of stocks on here. GMPX, this is that penny stock. This has actually made a couple of back and forth moves, so I wouldn't trade that one. GDHG, we talked about this one recently. This made a move up off the low.
Look at this engulfing candle in WPM, Wheaton Precious Metals. That is crazy. This thing's going to 80. It's almost there.
WPM?
Yeah. Look at the daily chart.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
Seems like things are pulling here. S&P futures still holding down near the low, but holding on to that 542. I think 541 was the low. MLGO, you folks are mentioning?
It's been trading very well. ICCT has been running into a bit of a wall here at $5 even. MLGO hit 20 exactly.
ICCT, that's held on to a lot of its strength here. I'm surprised that didn't come back in at all yet.
Give it time.
It's early.
Give it time. Let's see
what else we got.
IBG continues to grind higher, new high a day, I mean.
KR, this was from Pete earlier. This continuing to move higher here. KR, right back up to the initial impulse high. Apple's actually done a pretty good job coming up off the low. And the VIX here, despite curling back up, still in a 20 handle, a 27 handle.
IBG, this one we traded earlier this week too, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that was yesterday.
Yeah.
IBG.
Yeah, that's having a nice recovery, over $1. You see that. VMAR, I mentioned this one earlier. This one's still grinding higher. That is Very nice move in VMAR.
Lulu here up off the lows. So it looks like so far here, the pre-market put that low in there. Where was that? 239? 237 and some change.
MLGO now through 20.
Nice job, Crow.
News on Rocket Lab.
Rocket Lab? Well, how's it responding to that?
Looks like it's going lower. Unveils advanced space-grade radios for deep space missions. What is Rocket Lab doing?
Oops.
Okay.
There's literally a 1 cent stock on the scanner there. What on earth is that?
For me, Rocket Lab, the big thing that needs to happen with this is going to be their neutron rocket. That's what that whole contract they recently received that's what their whole contract they got from the U.S. government is going to be based on. They're going to be launching out of Virginia, where they have their launch site. But that neutron rocket has to deliver. That's going to be the big thing that makes or breaks Rocket Lab.
MLGO, you might actually be trading up towards that trend line, 13. What a rip.
Oh, yeah.
MLGO. So more NVIDIA puts now. Are these the short-term ones? No. These are next week 99 puts. So it looks like traders betting on a break of 100 here. NVIDIA rolling back to the lows as we speak. Allzorts here saying definitely going to be some bargains when the market eventually turns. Indeed. We just don't know how long that's going to take. Scary how many 52-week lows are being breached.
MLGO pushing higher. I think you might be right about where this goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess technically that was your trend line, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I wasn't making any calls about that. That's where the price is headed today. Really surprised we're seeing this much movement. That was the fastest 3 seconds, or the probably the most profitable 3 seconds ever. STFU. All right. NIVF, this thing down through the 65 EMA. That's not looking great. OSRH, that had a pop up to 240, and that just came right back in. Still at VWAP. MLGO, this is starting to pull a little bit here. VMAR is halted to the upside. This thing probably will go to 950. That's the high from yesterday.
Let me put VMAR up here.
Terrifying price action in MLGO. It certainly is, but this thing can just continue to go crazy. Let's see what it does next. Maybe it has a big pull, and then it goes to 30 later. All right. What is looking good, folks? Because right now it seems like everything's turning back down again. SPY. Where is this coming down to? SPY down to some trend lines I have had here for a while. I have a trend line that is now touching for the first time in a long time. It started on October 13th, 2022. This was the trend line that went up through the March 2023 lows, and it has just been extended all the way up until now, and this is the first time we've got an interaction with it.
The March 20. Oh, here you go. So it's this.
Yep.
Okay. And now we want to drag this so that it incorporates that bottom right here.
We're hitting it for the first time today. Yeah.
So that's right in here. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good stuff. So maybe we see a little bit of a bounce, but I still think we're going to probably end up going lower. And if we get a death cross in the SPY, Could be another 2022 situation. Shorts are sweating. Amazon 178. How about that?
Amazon doesn't look like it has any strength at the moment.
No, maybe it gets more strength down around 170. 168, 170.
Yeah, right in here. Yeah.
So this is we're beneath where Bezos was buying last year in July, and we're getting to the point of where he was buying in January as well. Or I'm sorry, not buy, sold. I'm sorry, sold. He was selling in July and January. He was very early. All right, MLGO still holding 20. ICCT fighting against the 5 resistance level. Let's see here. What kind of strength does MLGO have? Looks like it's just kind of muted for the moment.
Sorry, handling something here outside of the show.
No worries. I'm just looking for something to talk about. It looks like OSRH still trying to deal with its VWAP. Looks like VMAR, that unhalted, dropped or print a new high of 795 and then dropped, and now it's in a halt again. So halted to the downside, VMAR. Looks like MLGO just lost 20, trying to recapture it. What's going with ICCT? Did it break 5? Yes, it did. 567 is a new high, and then it just pulled right back down to that consolidation. It's getting support though. MLGO may be either cooling off or just dumping. Might be done.
Checking on some of those biotech stocks that were up earlier. Looks like they've pared back some of their gains. Amgen right back to where it started. AbbVie down. Oh, that's actually flat. What was the other one? Gilead, GILD. That one's still holding higher here by 1%.
SQQQ just took out the high from yesterday in the after hours when we got the news of the tariffs. We just took out that whole move up. So we are now new territory with SQQQ. I was getting asked about SRET. It's a dividend play. Take a look. This is a REIT, and it's a REIT ETF. So this would require a lot more work. I don't know what's in this. It's a super dividend REIT. I don't know what companies are in this. I really can't give you good information on this, but looking at the chart, ever since COVID, it just has not been having a good time, but it looks like it is trying to curl. I don't know what kind of time frame we're looking at here where this turns back up and gets to some of these highs, like around 22, 23. But I think when it comes to this particular ETF, it's all going to be about the rate cuts. I don't think I can really add a lot more to that without digging into what this ETF holds. Utilities are looking good. They've been looking good. They've been looking good for a while. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to pull the heat map up there and check, see what sectors are holding up here.
Izzy's asking me TTD.
Staples and utilities, the two sectors that are holding up here. Healthcare has some pockets of green, but also some pockets of red. TTD, we talked about that earlier here, 13. I had said that was hunting for a bottom, so I suspect Izzy's asking where that bottom is at.
No, probably around 40.
Okay.
Looking at the lows from 22, that stands out to me. He also had support back in 2020 when it was recovering. You do have a death cross in this that just occurred last month, so probably going to end up seeing a lot more pain out of that. But we are getting really extended away from the EMAs. So if there is going to be some upside coming, I would think that it's going to be coming because it's extended away from a lot of these moving averages. But I still like the low 40s as a potential near-term bottom. Just keep an eye on those levels from 22. But I don't know that it's going to recover meaningfully for some time.
Yeah, I got a trend line here, maybe 45-ish if we get down there.
Take care,
TTD. Take care of yourself, Hellcat.
Okay, so what's going on with some of these names here?
Google's rolling over. NVIDIA new lows.
Microalgo continuing to go lower, coming down to its VWAP. NIVF, that's now approaching its 200 EMA. OSRH, still sideways, trying to recapture that VWAP. TIVC, kind of sideways as well, trying to recover some of its EMAs. IPVO, this being suppressed by its 65 EMA and VWAP, probably goes back to the 150 area if it cannot recapture VWAP. SPY putting in more lows here.
Yep, whole market rolling over here. So we might be on the next leg down here on the market. Let me bring up SPY. ICCT still at highs here.
Looks like SQQQ is about to hit 42. And I'm not seeing anything else at the moment. ICCT is aiming for 6. It certainly is. I just don't want to jump into this one. Maybe that consolidation and was trying to break over 5 was the time to get in it, but even then, it just still looked extended it to me. I'm not going to chase this one. I missed my opportunity. Oh well.
Tesla approaching those 260 lows. That was going to be your dead low from the after hours last night. NVIDIA's in a free fall. We're still waiting out that 99 to 100, only 3 points away now on NVIDIA. SPY is testing 540.
Wow. That's not a good looking move for NVIDIA. So it looks like there's more downside ahead. Okay. SQQQ through 42, going higher.
TZA, this is your small cap bear. This is this and SQQQ. Matt Maley has been on quite a bit. And by the way, if you folks want to follow and trade along with Matt Maley, here is your opportunity to try it out free for a week. Link is in the chat. Give it a shot. He is Matt Money Maley, as we call him around here. He's been printing.
It's just so much to look at. I didn't realize what time it was.
Tom, this too shall pass, buddy. Don't worry. This too shall pass. We'll be with you down days, up days, flat days, and any days in between, except for the day that I'm on vacation. But we will be with you here, and we'll always be there to try and give you something that you can enjoy. This too shall pass, buddy.
Yep. And just have those shopping lists ready, because I think
right.
we are in the middle of, we're starting to see these opportunities present themselves to us. I have no problem starting to nibble. I've already begun doing that ahead of the tariffs. I'll start adding more. I think we're going to see a lot of opportunities. It's just that it's going to be very, very cautiously adding to things very slowly over time, because I don't think that we are done selling off yet.
Yeah. And again, no reason to be a hero. Take a long-term approach and don't panic. Smoke Tuna, if you love to buy low and sell high, you should be happy to buy on sale. Always tough in the moment, but that is exactly right.
Okay, what's looking good?
540 still getting tested here by the SPY. We'll see if it can hold on to that.
Yeah, what's my chart telling me here with that? Yeah, because the next previous all-time high I have beneath this price is 537 and 1 cent.
Gilead might be making a return back to the highs there. Man, stay focused. That was such a good call.
Just kind of reading, see what everybody's saying. AAOI deal with Amazon.
Like right now, is that like responding to that? AAOI, huh?
Let's see here.
AAOI down 15%.
I don't see the news you're referring to. Either it hasn't hit my feed or it happened earlier. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. So back on March 13th, they issued Amazon warrant to purchase shares. That must be the news that you're referring to. Trading higher, the company announced a warrant issuance agreement transaction with Amazon for almost 8 million shares. So when does that happen? I didn't follow that news.
DG seeing some more call flow on DG. These are the ones that expire tomorrow, the 89. So it looks like that might be profit taking there.
Yeah, I said that. I dismissed my opportunity, and I'm not going to chase it. Yeah, because it's almost at 6 now. No, I get you. I already said it was my opportunity was missed, so that's fine. I'm not going to harp on it. Just move on and do the next one.
And there will be next ones. NVIDIA trying to bounce here. I still think that's got more space to go, more room to go down. SPY not yet breaking 540. We'll see if it can hold on to that.
AstraZeneca holding 3.8% today, says XIII. Well, what do you have on your shopping list, Ryan? What's one that you're looking at?
PanW, just kind of sticking with the cybersecurity theme. PanW still, in my opinion, best in breed. I know we talk a little bit about CrowdStrike too. PanW still best in breed. At this point, though, again, just kind of with the whole shaking out thing, just kind of want to let this go. I would not be surprised. Would you be surprised at all to see PanW print 150s? Currently at 163, really not that far away.
Oh, let me take a look at the chart. It sounds like it could get down there. Oh yeah, the loss of the 200. I mean, maybe it has more room to go down than 150. But with the way the RSI is, it seems like a bounce should be coming at some point soon. Looks like ICCT just printed 6 and it's going higher. Yeah, I could see 150 for sure. Yeah, there goes ICCT printing higher, 626.
Good stuff there on ICCT for all you folks trading that one here. That continues to rip. Volume still looks pretty good there.
Yeah, I know I can, but I understand what this is, and I don't want to take a risk on this one when it's run already so much. I mean, it would have worked out. You're right, but it's just
could have just as easily given you a 50-cent loss.
I'm not gonna chase this thing.
Nothing wrong with discipline. First Solar here flagging and still holding higher here right above its VWAP.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to test its 50-day SMA at some point. Maybe once it gets past 140, it'll just it could easily go to a 50-day SMA.
ARM testing 100 here.
Oh yeah, that's one that I'm keeping my eye on. This one could be good,
especially if it gets to 86.
This thing almost cut in half. Down 45% from the January high. Just this month. Imagine that. Huge rug pull. All right, so let's see here with ARM, because I do like ARM. One of the ones I'm keeping an eye on. All right, what's going on with some of these others? Looks like MLG is down at its VWAP. OSRH, that's actually recaptured its VWAP, trying to push higher, maybe make that 250 print we were looking for. NIVF, that seems to be trying to curl. TIVC is trying to recapture its 65 EMA.
TJX still holding higher. Goodyear came back in a little bit.
APVO still above $1 and trying to. It's starting to curl. It looks like, but it still has to make a big move to get back up to VWAP.
Kroger here still holding by 4.65%, so obviously not as affected by these. Also had an upgrade from Guggenheim, or was that a price target adjustment? Raising the price target there to 73 on Kroger. Kroger still outperforming here today. SPY rolling back over. Looks like we're going to try that 540 again coming up right here.
Do you have anything after this? Because it's almost that time.
No.
I just realized what time it was. And
no, I don't. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Closing words. We can do some closing words here for the group. We will be back at this again tomorrow. What do you got for us, 13? Words of wisdom, dad advice. What do you got?
Just take care of yourselves. Be patient. We're going to see some more of this selling, I imagine. It's going to take the market lower. Just have your shopping list ready. Look for good companies. Not growth, but more on the value side. I think that's going to be better for you to take a look at. And then we can come back here tomorrow. We'll talk about which ones we like and where we want to deploy some of that capital. Until then, take care of yourselves, folks. Keep your stops tight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you, 13, getting us through a rough day here. Folks, again, theme here, don't panic. Take a long-term approach. Be safe. We'll be back at this again tomorrow. The world is not ending